Suns rout the Spurs in San Antonio yesterday. And how about ASU rolling to their sixth straight win over Stanford? Welcome in a Monday without the Cardinals' loss.
Oh, wow, Roc.
What are we going to talk about?
Are you telling me they won the bye week?
Right off the bat, taking a shot across the bow at the Cardinals.
I will say this. I mean, if that was going to be our State 48 Roofing It's Your Call question, did the Cardinals win the bye week? And I would say yes. I would say yes because it was quiet.
Yes, it was.
Well,
nobody got fired.
Right.
There were no injuries.
No.
There was no spats.
No.
I mean, other than a little back and forth with Patrick Peterson and Kyler Murray. Aside from that
was it.
Hey,
they won.
Nobody got arrested during their vacations, their 1 week vacation.
That we don't know. That normally comes out a week
Well,
later.
that's true. But, yeah, nobody was practicing, so they couldn't get hurt. We don't know if anybody got arrested or not. And who knows what. You hope that everybody, at least the coaches, were there getting prepared for the New England Patriots who lost the other night on Thursday night. So who knows? Maybe the Cardinals that week off might have helped them to maybe not lose as bad against the Patriots next Monday night.
Yeah. Well, let's get to it. Here are some of the top stories this hour on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. We're out here at the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona for tonight's Monday night affair as the the NFC South rivals will clash on Monday Night Football as you got a crowded NFC South. And it'll be the Bucs and the Saints. The division leading Bucs are coming off a 23-17 overtime loss to the Cleveland Browns. And on the other side, it's New Orleans, who have lost 3 of 4, and they're 4-8 overall. Should be another barn burner on Monday night. I'm glad that
you're excited.
You got it tonight.
Well,
Coach.
I'll make it exciting, Roc. We'll make it exciting. Me and Jax, we'll keep the things going here tonight. That's for sure. But maybe it's Jameis Winston's time to get back in the under center at New Orleans. I mean, they got nothing to lose.
The good thing is when when you have a game like this, where people are going to want to watch Tom Brady, of course.
Sure.
But I think what's great about it is we give away cash just for watching football. So we have a jackpot over $2,900. So you can come here and have a couple cold ones, and not to mention have some great food and watch some football. Listen to Manuch overdo it on the microphone.
Damn right, man.
And Jack's kind of run around with his head chopped off because he makes Manuch do all the work. I mean, no,
somebody's got to get it done.
Manuch makes Jax do all the work.
He's the rookie, Roc. So
it's like you abuse it.
You
so abuse our help.
Well, you know what?
It's day and night when I'm here when he's here because I actually will do work too.
Oh, I do work.
Like, what do you do?
Oh, absolutely. I go around. I schmooze. I do the talking. I make sure that Jackson's on par with the squares.
He is the
making
king of
sure.
schmooze.
Do you hand out the squares?
No, Jax does the squares.
Okay.
Now, if Jax isn't here, I will do that. Now, if intern Barney shows up, we make him do everything. And Jax kind of hands it off to him. It's kind of funny. Hey, Barney, can you help me do this and this? And Barney's like, yeah, I got it. I'll do that.
Yeah, Barney just likes the attention. Suns are back in the win column, as I mentioned, 133-95. Thanks to DraftKings, I won some money. As DeAndre, he had 25. Devin Booker and Mikal Bridges added 20 apiece for the Suns. They bounced back after what was they should not have lost to Houston. That was just one of those games on Friday night.
Yep.
But tonight, they're back at it tonight, 16-7 on the season as they visit Dallas and Luka. A lot of conversation with Luka. Of course, you don't have a matchup between Phoenix and Dallas and not talk about DeAndre and Luka Doncic on the draft and who's going to play better. So I'm anxious to see this. It's always a good game. I personally think Dallas is the team that's the rivalry right now. I don't have another team. Years ago, everybody would say it was Spurs. Always they say the Lakers. Portland for a real short time. Denver maybe. But I think it's Dallas.
I agree with that just because of what you just referenced. Luka or DeAndre. So that's how this rivalry kind of came together. And then with what took place last year, where the Mavericks just destroyed the Suns in Game 7. And Luka, I think he still is scoring baskets for the the Mavericks.
He doesn't shut up.
They won 4 in a row after you beat them 11-0 in the last 3 or 4 years. And they come back, and I quite frankly think, I think Monty and his staff, they got totally outcoached. Jason Kidd and his staff, what they did
a great job
on CP3 to pressure him and to take him away. But it's always fun to see DA be that guy to say, okay, yeah, you passed on Luka. You got me. Let me show you what's going on, and go get that 22 and 15 or 20 and 15
he went
or
for
whatever.
25 last night and 10. That should be his MO for the rest of the season.
How about Saric getting a chance to start?
I like that. I like what
that
I
was a
saw
good
out of
scrimmage for
Saric.
him.
Yeah,
Get back in the fold, I think.
Look, the Spurs are terrible.
They are bad.
They really are.
I could probably get a
that
couple
first
of
round
minutes.
pick.
Yeah, I could probably get a couple of minutes with the Spurs.
Put him at point. Get him out
That's
3 or
it.
4 minutes.
That's it.
With whomever is. And Manu Ginobili's not coming back anytime soon.
No, he is not. Neither is Tim Duncan.
No, they're not.
And then the Yotes are in Calgary tonight. I think that game's at 7 o'clock. So you got a lot of local stuff going on. By the way, a story that hit today in the Republic that the Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport has all but reversed its position opposing the $2.1 billion development deal in Tempe for the Coyotes.
Right.
It was what they say an unexpected move that suggests that the project's most outspoken opponent has thrown in the towel.
That's it.
Has thrown in the towel. Has given up.
So it's that old snowball's chance in hell that he basically realized he had in order to hold anything up. I don't know what you would hold up. In reference to the height of the building or whatever. Your crash zone is basically the river bottom or the lake or whatever. You hope that never happens. So I remember when the Cardinals, they wanted to put their stadium up there, Rock, across the street. They talked about right there on the north side of the freeway at Priest and the other side. And basically they're going, well, it's too high. You could see that. And on top of that, the parcel was just too small.
Okay.
Just like a 35-acre or 40-acre parcel. Just was not going to work there. But I think that everybody understands that city of Tempe might have leaned on these people or whatever and said, look, this is good for everybody. There's nothing that's going to hinder the planes one way or the other as far as the signals, and the sonar, whatever else they talk about. Let's move on.
But if sonar is underwater.
Whatever. Well, you got the lake there, Tempe Town Lake.
What, we got submarines?
There's not a lot of water in there. So it's good to see that'll come to fruition. But what does that mean for this Coyotes team? When they moved out to Glendale, okay, there was question that, all right, most of the season ticket holders were here in the East Valley where we're at right now, and they still weren't going to draw. People got all bent out of shape because it's in the West Valley. All right, they did all right out there. I mean, they didn't do great, but they did all right. Okay. It's a great facility. I love Glendale Arena.
I do too.
I love Westgate. Now they moved to Tempe, and they're going to have this new stadium, which in arena, I should say, will be built in 3 years or so. But it doesn't change what we see on the ice. Until they start to win, people aren't going to go to the games until they start winning.
Well, but look where they are right now. What are they? 7, 11, and 1. To be perfectly honest with you, I didn't think they'd have 7 wins.
They're ahead of last year.
Yes, they are. That's what I'm saying.
Much more competitive now than they were last year.
Yeah. They're still one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, they are. But I mean, maybe the arena more revenue generated. They decided to spend more money for free agents to bring guys in to help flip that script, turn the corner. That was Michael Bidwell's whole beef, that once we get our stadium built, the fans will come, will get that extra money to go ahead and spend. And they did.
Yeah.
They went out there and signed guys to long-term contracts. One got free agents. They made sure that they were in the hunt because that was now expected of them. If they voted on this new arena, that now that you got all this money coming into your coffers, go spend it to make this team a good team. Because they were not a very good team when that stadium got built.
Now, another team that's playing some pretty good basketball right now is Arizona State, as they rolled to their 6th straight win yesterday as they beat Stanford 68-64. As Desmond Cambridge Jr., he dumped in 19.
Yep.
They're now 8-1 on the season, 2-0 in Pac-12 play. First time since Bobby took over that this team is undefeated in the first 2 games. They'll travel to Dallas on Wednesday to take SMU. They'll take on SMU. Meanwhile, Arizona, they crushed Cal 81-68. They're off until Saturday. GCU will host Loyola Marymount on Wednesday. By the way, yesterday in that game, yesterday afternoon, which I think was a 5 o'clock game, is what I remember popping and watching it for a little while.
Yep.
At one point, Stanford was held without a basket for nearly 7 minutes, and they missed 10 straight shots. Wow,
that's a long season early on.
Oh, I can't imagine practice today.
Oh,
going to the whiteboard on that one,
or the suicides, one or the other, to make sure that they have the legs, the stamina to make those kind of shots. And then ASU, they came back, and again, you talk about Cambridge hitting some key shots. It looks as though Bagley has left the team for ASU here for a short period of time. I don't know if
he's going to be transfer portal.
Yeah, I imagine he will.
He's got to find a place he can play.
Yes.
Well, I mean, everybody thinks he's this next NBA superstar, but if he doesn't get a chance to get in to play anywhere, who's going to see him? Does he go G League? Does somebody pick him up? Somebody will pick him up.
Yep.
But he'll have to go to a small school. He should just go up to NAU and just own it.
Or he could go to an NAIA school right now if he wanted to. Just
not going to get seen.
But that's okay.
It's not. You got to get. Yeah, you want to play, but why wouldn't you want to play at a smaller D1 school like NAU?
He can go play for a couple years and then transfer to a D1 school. He just needs to play, get some reps.
You got to go to a D1 right now. He's too high of a talent.
Okay, so good luck trying to find that school out there. You
don't think there's probably, I bet, what is there, 300 plus D1 schools?
Well, sure, but
there's probably
you think Stanford
2 dozen that have guys that are hurt that can use a guy like him.
Yeah, he was going to switch uniforms at halftime, I think.
Play for Stanford in the second half.
Well, hey, it's our 22nd year hosting Monday Night Football here at Casino Arizona. We call it the Monday Night Tailgate. Give away cash just for watching football in many ways. We do it with our jackpot, which is over $2,900. We do squares. We do props. We do it all. You win cash just for watching football. We hope to see you tonight as it's the Saints and Tampa. Doors are open now, but really around 4 o'clock. Coming up, tough Sunday for a few quarterbacks. Give you some updates on Lamar Jackson and Jimmy G. Manuch, star student, got a shot, did a really nice job. We'll go around the NFL as well. It's a Monday React. It's Roc and Manuch. Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910.
Third down and goal in a 10-10 game. One more shot for the Niners. Purdy underneath for the touchdown. It's McCaffrey. Second touchdown throw off of the bench for Purdy. Niners back in front.
Chandler's own Brock Purdy got called into action yesterday after the first series with Jimmy G goes out. breaks his foot, is out for the year, the rest of the year. You got a really good 49er team with an opportunity to go pretty far this year, and you got the last pick in the NFL draft as your starting quarterback.
Yeah, Mr. Irrelevant was pretty relevant yesterday, I'd have to say. He did I think, an outstanding job. He made some really good throws. I mean, some tight window throws. The one interception he'd probably like to have back. You got to throw that fade route a little deep and outside so nobody gets it but your receiver. But I thought he got the guys in and out of the huddle. He set the motion. Quite frankly, looked like a 5-year vet that was out there. Now, all right, 3-year vet.
You're a little biased.
I'm a little biased.
You are his coach.
But there was no delay games.
5-year vet.
Guys got lined up. There was no delay games, no confusion.
No, he managed the game well.
He managed it very well. And I think for Brock and this team and Kyle Shanahan, they had a lot of great situations they put him in. And he got rid of, there's the one route to the tight end to Kittle. The blitz was on late in the game. He read it, hot route, got the ball to him for a huge first down. They went down and scored there too. So Brock just, mind his P's and Q's. You got a hell of a defense. Like Chuck Knox would tell us, just don't do anything stupid. Don't lose the game for us. It's okay to punt. Take the sack if you have to. And move on from there.
All right.
He's heard a lot of that.
He's starting early. Chuck Knox. He can't do a show without mentioning Chuck Knox.
Well, you see a lot of my quarterbacks.
Forbid.
A lot of my quarterbacks.
We should have like $1, like a bucket, right?
Like the gong should go.
Yeah,
off.
like the gong should go in, or we make $5 every time he has to bring up Chuck Knox.
Well, what is that? East Coast bias now, Jimmy? You got to mention Chuck Knox.
Here's the point.
No, it's like
I'm just kidding.
70s.
Here's the point I'm going to make. Who is in the 49ers backfield?
Oh, my gosh.
Christian McCaffrey
and
Deebo
Yep.
Samuel. Okay.
And look at the receivers. Look at the tight end.
Yes.
They're loaded.
Hey,
They're loaded.
like I said,
But their defense is really good.
Their defense is damn good. Miami scored on them. First opening drive, that pass went all the way on the first play of the game.
Yep.
Fourth quarter. But, yeah, Brock's got a great group around him to work with. If he didn't have all these guys, it'd be tough sledding for him as a rookie quarterback.
That is correct.
Well, let's go around some of the highlights from yesterday. A great day to watch football as we start with Green Bay and their win over Chicago's 28-19 as they outscored the Bears 18-0 in the fourth quarter. The Packers have now won 8 consecutive over the Bears. Bears have lost 6 in a row. And here's Aaron Rodgers, who feels like Chicago is just a second home.
You never know when it's going to be the last one. I got great fans here in Chicago.
Yeah, whatever.
But it truly has been a second home for me. We've had a lot of big wins here over the years, a lot of great moments with Cobby and with so many other guys over the years. So it's fun to come back here, get a win, and let the fans know I'm still here.
I own you.
Yeah, the back page of the Tribune, Chicago paper, or Chicago Sun, whatever the main paper is, it's just a picture of him with just a big smile. He's just standing there like it's like he won again. Moving on, this is one game that I lost. I think a lot of people did. Pittsburgh, Atlanta, 1916, as the Falcons have lost 4 of 5. They were playing some pretty good football, but have really struggled the last 5 weeks. Here's how the game ended with Fitzpatrick's interception.
Falcons trying to get in field goal range with no timeout. Mariota throwing, intercepted, Fitzpatrick, and he'll just go out of bounds. And that is such a smart play by Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, one of the best players in the game. Credit Fox on that one. Detroit and Jacksonville. Detroit looked real good, 40-14. Jared Goff, 340 yards, a couple touchdowns, and Jags have now lost 20 in a row to NFC teams. Here's one of Jax's touchdowns.
Goff keeps, he throws wide open. It's another Lions touchdown, and it's another one for Amon-Ra St. Brown.
St. Brown all over the place, big game. And they shut down Trevor Lawrence completely, one of his worst games. But look at this Lions team. They're able to throw the ball all season with Jared Goff.
Yes.
Just haven't been able to stop anybody. Now they can stop somebody. I mean, Jacksonville put pressure on the young quarterback.
Yeah.
And Jared Goff is finding tight ends. He's finding his receivers, as you heard right there. He's thrown for over 320, 340 in at least 5 games this year.
Next season, Detroit is going to be dangerous in the black and blue division. They will be.
Yeah, I think you're right. Minnesota and the New York Jets, 27-22. Vikings improved to 10-2. all the talk going in with Mike Ethan White, all the players wearing that shirt. And the first series he throws a pick, and then here he is throwing a pick at the end of the game with 16 seconds.
4th down. Jets down 5. White launches, picked off, and it's over. Intercepted by Bynum, and the Vikings slam the door shut against the Jets.
Now, he threw it 57 times. I thought it was going to be 60.
Well, and it was,
honest.
and it, guys, it was 20-6 at halftime. I watched a lot of that game. He brought them back.
He did bring.
He did an outstanding job. His accuracy. That offense has got so much more juice.
Yes.
With him in there versus Zach Wilson.
So I made a bet at the bar. It was 20-6, right, against my buddy Jimmy, who's a big Long Island guy, right, big Jet fan. He's like, he goes, I'll bet you. Here's the deal. He goes, I'll bet you if the Jets come back and win, that you owe me $100. Otherwise, I pay you $20. I'm not going to lie. I got a little nervous there because that was the game I was watching back and forth. So he did pay me my $20. But the Jets, they had a couple opportunities there, but the Vikings did such a good job at their goal line stance. So a game that was coming back and forth, and the Commanders, they blew a 10-0 lead, and it was a tie game as Washington and the Giants went in overtime and tied 20-20. But Coach Ron Rivera didn't think it was a bad thing that he got a tie.
That it didn't hurt us. Okay, it didn't hurt us. It's got a chance to help us, mostly because we played these guys again, and they're really who we're battling for one of the playoff spots. So tying against them may not be the worst thing. The best thing that we can do now is we're going to play them at home. We got to do everything we can to win.
Jimmy?
And they flex that game on Sunday night. So it is not going to be an afternoon game. They have flexed it to the primetime game for the Giants and I almost said the Redskins. Wow.
You can say the Redskins. I say it.
And the Commanders.
Well, and that'll be the tiebreaker right there.
Yeah,
that'll be to see who moves on. And this Commanders team, Commanders team is moving in that direction. And the Giants are starting to falter a little bit. Their defense is falling apart with injuries.
Well, the Eagles, they got one loss on the year, and that was to the Commanders, but they took care of Tennessee. They beat them big, 35-10. Jalen Hurts proves again he should be a candidate for the MVP, 380 yards passing, and most of them went to a former Titan, A.J. Brown, 8 receptions, 119 yards. Here's one of the 40-yard touchdowns that went to Brown.
Hurts. Lofting deep again. Brown is wide open, and he catches. He's going to walk in backwards. There's a penalty on the play, and an injured Titan. It's Christian Fulton.
Collision, Fulton number 26. It's just a double move. He's going to break out, and then in. Fulton kind of runs. He gets kind of double moved. It's got to be on the defense, right? Yeah.
He double moved. He ran him over is what he did.
Yeah.
He tried the defensive back, all about $170 of him. And you see Brown, how big he is. He pretty much ran him over and wide open for that touchdown.
Baltimore over Denver, 10-9. Lamar Jackson will be week to week. Cleveland and Houston, Deshaun Jackson, he got booed throughout the game, and he had a poor game, a bad game. It was his first game back, 12-22, 131 yards. Seattle and L.A., Geno Smith once again playing some tremendous give him the comeback player of the year, no question, 367 yards. And 3 touchdowns as the defending champion Rams are now 3-9. Cincinnati's got Kansas City's number.
They do.
Third consecutive win as they won 27-24. And how about the Raiders?
Yep.
They've now won 3 in a row. Devontae Adams, another big game for him. 8 receptions, 177 yards. San Francisco, Miami, we talked about that earlier with Jimmy Garoppolo out for the year with a broken foot. That win for San Francisco snapped the Dolphins' 5-game winning streak. And in the game last night, I don't know what got into the Cowboys in that fourth quarter. I mean, you had any team that was up for a while, and they exploded. 33 points in the fourth quarter, 54-19. Here's Mike McCarthy talking about this fourth quarter explosion.
Explosive. I think really the defense set the tone, obviously, with the takeaways in the run game and, the backs. Just like anything, it starts up front. And I think our perimeter players just continue to make plays, throughout the game. We were able to break it open there in the fourth quarter.
I hate the Cowboys.
Interceptions, fumbles. Matt Ryan looked horrible. in that second half. And they put the ball in the dirt a couple times. Taylor had a bad night. He coughed up 2 of them. 1 they got back, fortunately. But 33 points in the fourth quarter. I think that was an NFL record for a fourth quarter. But the Cowboys, they're good front runners. So
yes, they are.
That's a declining team with the Colts. See how they do when they start to play some real competition moving here forward.
You don't think Cowboys are real competition?
No, I'm talking about the Colts. The Colts look like the JV team last night. That's what I'm trying to say.
All right,
they get out in front of somebody.
Okay,
yeah, I said looks like the Cowboys when they play some real competition, aside from a JV team like the Colts. And I think
the Colts were up.
Yeah, they were, but also they fell apart.
They were up.
And he said their defense, came alive in that second half. That's what got it. I mean, they just looked browbeaten the second half.
Hey, it's never a bad time to grill, and many of you would love a new grill. Well, here's an opportunity for you to win one as we're giving away a backyard grill, a customized backyard grill, and your chance to win one is right now. Just text PEAKS to 55678. That's PEAKS to 55678. You can do it daily, and it's courtesy of Twin Peaks, Blue Moon, and Coors Light. Standard message and data rates do apply. Again, you can enter once a day by texting PEAKS to 55678. Rudy Carpenter, former Sun Devil and NFL quarterback, will join us next as we talk about the Cardinals as they get ready for the Patriots, as well as what he saw yesterday in the National Football League. That's all next as we continue from the CAZ Sports Bar. It's Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B, Fox Sports 9.
One against that team in Tucson. Carpenter going to go up with time, steps up, looks end zone, got a man, McGahey, touchdown! And Rudy Carpenter threw that right into the teeth, into the strength of the Wildcat defense. Rudy Carpenter, Now on Roc and Manuch on Fox Sports 910 on FM and 99.9 HD2.
Former NFL quarterback, ASU quarterback, Rudy Carpenter, now on the right foot guest on here, Fox Sports 910. How you making out today, Rudy?
Oh, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. As you kind of go back in time to yesterday and you look at what you saw in the National Football League, we have no Cardinals to talk about, obviously, and next week we can talk about the Pats. But was there any particular game that you really kind of locked in on and someone really impressed you?
Well, I thought there was a lot of great games yesterday, to be quite honest with you, and some really good performances. But I thought the 49ers Miami Dolphins game was, a great game. Obviously, you have all the storylines with Mike Shanahan and Mike McDaniel and just all of the different players and coaches on each staff that have played together and, spent so much time together. That's obviously an interesting, situation. You got Tua, who's having a great year, got the Dolphins in a situation to possibly make the playoffs. Who knows? We shall see. But then obviously, for Arizona people, I thought Brock Purdy getting in there and getting a chance to play, and I thought, considering the circumstances, play really, really well was obviously, good to see. And I'm sure for you, Manuch, really good to see.
Yeah,
let me ask you, what will it take? I still think I've been here 30 years, and I don't think of Arizona as a hotbed for football players. I just don't. And getting the Brock Purdy's of the world and guys that you coach as well in the National Football League, Fitzpatrick, a guy who played at Chandler, Gilbert, Gilbert Wright. There's been a couple. What will it take for folks outside of this state to say, man, hey, all the good quarterbacks come out of Arizona, or all the good XYZ guys come out of Arizona?
Well, I mean, I to be fair, in my view, I think Arizona's gotten so much better over the last couple of years, becoming a hotbed. And I think I could list off a bunch of players right now that are currently in the NFL or were great players in the NFL over the last few years who are from Arizona. Obviously, you have Christian Kirk, who's playing great. You have Mark Andrews, who's playing great. You got Kyle Allen, who's done well when he's gotten a chance to play. Richie Incognito for so many years was great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a ton of great players. I mean, that doesn't even obviously include guys like N'Keal Harry, and I could really go on and on. Chase Lucas. I mean, these guys. There are a lot of guys, and obviously it's getting better and better and better as time goes on. But for Arizona to be seen the same way California is, or Texas is, or Florida is, or probably Georgia is now, they still have a little ways to go, and they're going to have to, when they play the high school games, when they play the out-of-state games, Arizona's going to have to win in a lot more of those games when they lose. When they, it's one of the things that sucks, but for us, when those great players here in Arizona go play in the SEC and they dominate and they play great and they're in the first round picks, their chances to win Heisman trophies really, really great for Arizona. It sucks. You wish they'd all go to ASU, or for some people here, U of A. But for me, I think Arizona is, really probably one of the top 6 or 7 high school or places in the country for high school football.
Rudy, what do you think that Shanahan will do? It looked like the offense, as far as missing a beat, I didn't see much of that with Brock, but how do you think he might curtail that back a little bit, or what will he do to try to keep that offense moving forward? Will you see more boots, more waggles, play action to protect Brock? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think that's always a question. Sorry for my vocabulary, but the reason why I say that is because coaches always do this. Every single time they get to a backup quarterback, they want to do one of two things. They want to dumb down the playbook and try to make it easier, which usually makes it way more predictable, which makes it way harder on the guy. Mm-hmm. Or they try to simplify things and do less things. And to me, it just doesn't make any sense. Look, if you want to know how the NFL is going to be played and how Brock Purdy is going to be played, all you have to do is go watch the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins had one defense last week that was ready for Jimmy Garoppolo. The moment Brock Purdy came in, they said, screw it, all out blitz in every
Yes.
And the reason is because every organization understands that the most ill-prepared player on every team is the backup quarterback because they get no reps in practice. Yeah. They don't get reps at protection adjustments. They don't get reps at seeing the defense and all the different blitz indicators and intricacies that you need to see to make these checks on time. They understand this. They're going to give him new looks and try to mess around with him and force him to have bad eyes and panic and make bad throws, et cetera, et cetera. To me, running the same offense that he's been preparing all year with, running the same practices that he's been practicing all year with, having the same game plans and the same operation that Brock has had all year long since he's been here, to me is the best way to go about it. If you really believe in the next man up mentality, then it has to be next man up, not next man up, and then we're going to change the offense to make it fit him better. It just and to me, when you do all those changes at the quarterback, what you're telling me is like you don't have any confidence in me. At the end of the day, this is what it is. The other thing is I like Brock, and I hope he plays well, and I really do mean that. Manuch, for you too. But come on, the odds of that happening are like almost zero, not because of Brock's fault, because of the way the NFL is structured. And to me, it's like, do whatever you're going to have to do to put that guy in a position to make the most out of this opportunity and help you guys win games. Don't just go, pretend like you're going to get in the Baker Mayfield sweepstakes. You're going to bring in Josh Johnson. He's been in the NFL forever. He's going to do all kinds of different stuff. The only way Kurt Warner was found is because he had a head coach that gave an opportunity. And I think Brock Purdy needs the same thing.
It's interesting that you just talked about Mayfield. So you would not go down that road with him being available now?
Why? I mean, look, at the end of the day, this is what everybody knows. If you lose your starting quarterback and have to play your backup, you almost have zero chance in the playoff as it is. Everybody wants to pretend and wish like, oh, no, you can plug in your backup or you can go sign Baker Mayfield. No, it's not how it works. That's why you see very, very few trades in the NFL. It's not like the NBA where you can just trade a guy whenever you can come plug and play and put the ball in the basket. That's just not how it is. There's so much verbiage and vocabulary and situations and just different things that come up. And as a quarterback, if you don't understand all of the vocabulary and the blitz checks and the protection adjustments, it becomes a very dangerous sport. And to me, it's something that I don't think people spend enough time on. When you got guys who are 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 200 and whatever pounds running that fast, unblocked, trying to tear your head off, that's dangerous. You better have a plan. You better understand what's going on. And someone who hasn't been a part of your organization is not going to know how to do that. The lights not being too bright is a Brock Purdy strength. Keeping your poise and composure is a Brock Purdy strength. Leadership is a Brock Purdy strength. Being a winner is a Brock Purdy strength. Let him use all that high school and college experience that he's gotten up until this point to go in there and run the offense. Don't try to, take an easy way out and go sign a guy like Baker Mayfield because he's been on the field a little bit more than Brock. That's all that it is. He's just been on the field a little bit more than him in game situations.
Rudy, I second the motion on all that. Moving on, looking at Joe Burrow, speaking of a guy that got the experience and, it looks like the Cincinnati Bengals team as a whole in their passing game, even with, looking at Chase being back in the fold from that standpoint as well, too. Watching him week in and week out, and they made a big deal out of him being 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes. But I watched him play yesterday. Some of the throws, some of the accuracy, some of the confidence. Are they back on track to what we saw toward the end of last year before they went to the Super Bowl?
Looks like it. I mean, one thing that we know for sure is that the Cincinnati Bengals is a good matchup, for them against the Cincinnati Chiefs or Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know why. I don't know why it's a good matchup for them. I don't know why they match up well against that team and maybe not as well against others. To me, it's
3 minutes.
That's just the way that it goes. It's a good matchup for them. So that'll be just something to keep an eye on, obviously, as the season moves forward. But to answer the question on are they back, football is such a difficult sport to try to predict. Somebody's back, you have to keep their offense is back coming. They might look like they're having a lot of success and you just never know. And to me, that's just the NFL. So the way that it looks right now, they look good. The way that Joe Burrow is playing right now, MVP caliber. So yeah, they could be back.
He's Rudy Carpenter, Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B here on Fox Sports 910. Do you like the matchup for the CFP?
Yeah, it's fine. Fine. I mean, this is just one of those years where I kind of just wish like we just got to the, Georgia Michigan game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about Dion in Colorado?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting hire. Maybe this answers my feeling about every hire that's happened recently. I just don't think any of these hires matter. Dion is probably going to move the needle more than anybody else because he'll be able to recruit. He'll be able to get a lot of recruits. And I think he'll be able to do that just because of who he is, his coaching style, who he is as a person. He'll be able to convince some guys to come play. But I just still think the environment's different as we see today with the transfer portal. I mean, whether it's true or not, I tend to believe it's not true. But whether it's true or not, the perception is that there's a lot of NIL money out there for players if they can transfer. And I think there's a lot of NIL money out there at a few schools if those schools want you. I think every other school is more like Colorado and ASU. Mm-hmm. Colorado still doesn't even know where the money's going to come from to pay for Dion.
Yep,
and
right.
ASU just got their first $1 million to their collective. Good for them. But, I mean, Ryan Day came out last year and said it's going to be about a $3.5 million a year budget to keep his roster intact. So just know the difference between keeping the roster intact and just getting your first $1 million. So to me, that just tells us where we're going to be at. And I think if you spent some time critically thinking about this stuff, like, yeah, NIL to me is great. Players being paid is great. The transfer portal is awesome, in my view. But with a lot of good things, there always comes negative things. And some of the negative things are, look, we've now created an environment where Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, those teams are probably going to be good every year now because they have the pockets to do it. Notre Dame, et cetera. Everybody else is going to be chasing, and that's just how it goes.
Rudy, as always, man, thanks for making time for us on Mondays. We always appreciate it.
All right, guys, thanks.
That's Rudy Carpenter joining us as he does each and every Monday. We appreciate you always follow him on Twitter at RudyGCarp12. Follow Rudy, as he's a great follow on Twitter, as he is driven by All City Towing. All City Towing continues to grow. They are hiring. If you're looking for a change, getting ready for maybe some New Year's resolutions, and one of them is a new job, well, how about checking out All City Towing, as they have current immediate full-time positions available, great benefits, including a 401k program with a generous company match. The fastest way to apply is online at allcitytowing.com. Search careers, or you can always call the HR department, 480-833-7278. That's All City Towing, Arizona's largest towing, transport, and vehicle provider, allcitytowing.com. Coming up on this day, presented by 72 Sold. That's next as we're coming to you live from the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. 101 McAlps for Monday Night Tailgate. CAZ Sports Bar. 54 years ago today, 1968, a young man, USC student, won the Heisman Trophy. Can you tell me who it was?
That was O.J. Simpson.
That's right. Also on this day, 14 years ago today, he was sentenced to 33 years in prison after being convicted of armed robbery and kidnapping.
O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
In sports, that's known as a make-up
laugh.
call.
Well, he's looking for the killer on the golf course.
Oh, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's
38 years ago today, 1984, Beverly Hills Cop came out. It came out. And
Great
then
movie.
42 years ago today, 1980, John Lennon gave what was his last interview.
Wow.
It was with Rolling Stone magazine, and then 3 days later, he was shot and killed. We found out today that Nike has parted ways with Kyrie Irving 1 month after they suspended this relationship due to him posting those links on social media to film that was anti-Semitic views and all that stuff. So now he is what they call a sneaker free agent.
Sneaker free agent.
I think you're a free agent.
I think that angst to go sign him will settle down for a little bit. I think by any of the Adidas, the Converse, or whomever out there, they don't want to be. They want to be like this. Maybe the second offer. Any of those type of people, just to kind of let things settle down before he gets back on the marketing track with anybody.
I don't even think he needs it.
Well, he may not, but I mean, if somebody's this is a year or 2 years down the road, and they want to come back after him for a sneaker deal, does his sneaker enhance? Where he finally apologized, almost 3 weeks later. So I think when you're having a guy like that marketing, that stigma will be next to him forever.
Yeah.
No matter how much he apologizes or not.
Trent Dilfer got the UAB head job after having a lot of success for 3 years. It was a really good. It was a documentary on ESPN the other day. I saw about an hour where he had a lot of success with that high school in Nashville. Just 2 days after he takes the job, he announced that Alex Mortensen is going to be his offensive coordinator. Who's Alex Mortensen?
Who is that, Rock?
That's Chris Mortensen's son, ESPN NFL analyst.
That's correct.
He had been serving as an analyst with the Crimson Tide since 2014. He played quarterback at Arkansas and Sanford, and has been assistant coach of several stops, including a quick stint with the Rams in 2013.
Now, we haven't heard about UAB until this hire. I mean, the last couple of years, they've been decent. They've fallen off the tracks. I love to see Dilfer come in there and try to resurrect that. That's like Dion trying to resurrect Colorado. It's just a matter of going and getting the players that can get your program back on track and then to the next level.
Remember when UAB, the powers that be said, nope, we're not going to play football anymore, and they canned the program.
I remember that.
And the campus went absolutely ballistic, and they were forced to bring it back, including the head coach, and they went on then to win Conference USA that year.
Deep in the heart of Alabama, and you want to cancel our football program?
Are you kidding?
That's purely un-American.
That is un-American.
I think they asked the AD and the president at the time if they were communists, for crying out loud.
They might.
You just don't do that.
Nope.
So the Bear is heading to Fox.
Yeah, he is.
You know who the Bear is, Manuch?
The Bear headed to Fox. No, who is the Bear?
The Bear is on College Game Day. The guy that does the picks, Chris Fallica, I think is his name.
That's him.
He's leaving. He's heading to Fox.
He's been there since 95 at ESPN.
Yeah, he's been there since 95, and he's been a researcher since 96. He's been doing picks for quite some time now. And I don't watch it as much as maybe a lot of people do, the big noon kickoff on Fox, but it's getting some pretty good ratings.
Yep.
That's their pregame show. They go head to head with Game Day, and it's hard to beat Game Day now, and well, forever in my opinion. But the Bear, guy that was just a sidekick for a long time, ended up making a name for himself. He was doing a gambling show called Daily Wager, and he was working with Stanford Steve, if you know who he is, part of the Scott Van Pelt show.
Yep.
So good to see the kid making some money.
Yeah, he's making money. And look, he's put in the work. He's one of those research guys that if you ask him a question, bang.
Research nerd.
He's got the answer.
Yeah,
Exactly.
trivia guy. Knows,
exactly. That's the guy.
Knows all the injuries. Who's
Everything.
up to date. I mean, I've seen of him. He's pretty solid. Got the glasses, kind of big guy, heavy set guy.
In fact, he's got a nickname, the Bear.
The Bear.
That's pretty cool. My dad's nickname was the Bear, and I was nicknamed Cub.
You're the Cub.
I was
that makes
Cub.
sense.
I was Cub.
When
So
you become a Bear?
I see my dad's Italian and he had a lot of hair.
Yeah.
So they called him
I
Bear. And I just happened to be I just
You
happened to be the
kid,
Cub,
so
you
you
know.
were the
So it's the Cub.
Yeah.
So my Uncle Gus called me Cub. So it just stuck. So that's the way that worked. Anyway, Fox drew nearly $13 million for the final U.S. match in the 2022 World Cup. They lost 3-1, of course, on Saturday. Many of you got up early to watch that. Round of 16 loss to Netherlands.
They had their chances.
Yeah, it's just
they controlled the ball 58% of the time, and the Netherlands was so good and precise with their passing when they would get down in the box area. And the crosses that were set
3 minutes.
They were dominant goals, each one by the Netherlands.
Yeah, I know we're getting ready for the World Cup to be here in 4 years.
Yes.
It's like, is there any interest to watch it right now? I mean, Brazil's up on Korea right now 4-1. 4-1. I mean, it's just there's no reason to watch it now, is there?
No. Maybe I think the only thing is because of the Pele factor. You know, he's in the hospital now.
I'll watch the championship game.
You know,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he's battling cancer right now.
Maybe I'll watch Morocco and Spain.
Yeah, there you go. Your namesake right there.
My namesake,
yeah, right there.
But no, I'm sorry. I'm trying so hard to appreciate the sport.
Right.
Even after Jimmy told me, hey, you got to look at this as you're defending your goal. You're doing everything you can to not get scored on.
That's correct.
And I told a lot of people this weekend about that, and they're like, that makes sense. All right, that makes some sense. It still doesn't change the narrative for me. It is so boring, and I cannot get it. I don't understand it. Maybe it's the flopping that I don't like. Fox FS1 doesn't take it serious enough with Chad Ochocinco as one of their analysts.
Yeah.
I just, until, I don't know, maybe if we had an MLS team, because I know, like, my family lives in Charlotte. Man, they love their MLS. I mean, it's standing room only at those games, and how well Nashville does, and Portland, and Seattle, and Atlanta does really well. Yep. I mean, maybe if I got caught up in that, I would have some interest. But I'm sorry, I have no interest at all. And I have people saying, "Oh, Rock, you don't understand. It's such a great sport." I'm like, how? I was also the kid that didn't have to play it like everybody. Because as a kid, if you sucked at sports, you played soccer. Because they would just say, little kids, just go run.
Yeah. Just go run.
Right? And just follow the ball.
Follow the ball.
I mean, if you no athletic ability, you played soccer as a little kid.
I guess the thing I appreciate is watching the highlights, and that's about it. Have the athleticism, these saves, and these goals.
Okay, so 90
passing.
minutes, 95 minutes, you see one highlight.
And that's why I just watch the highlights. I mean, just if I want to stay up to speed with whomever, whatever. Messi finally scores after 95 years of playing in the World Cup. You saw him finally score. So, I mean, but I think I appreciate, the only thing I appreciate is the athleticism and the talent. But I'll just watch the highlights. That's about all I'm going to watch.
The game is basically designed with what Rock said to not allow teams to score. And then when somebody finally does score, that's when everybody goes
Hurry
crazy.
up and not score.
Yeah,
hey, today's On This Day report is powered by 72 Sold, America's leading home selling program. Home sellers, you need 72 Sold more than ever. They have a solution for today's seller market. There's no better way to sell your home than 72 Sold. You're making a mistake if you go the traditional route. Go to 72sold.com. Get your price, a higher price at 72sold.com. Hour number 2 is coming up. Craig Fouey will join us. We'll talk about the college football playoff and the bowl season. And we have the random fact of the day. Got a really good one for you today.
10.
It's all next as we continue for the CAZ Sports Bar. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Fox Sports 910.
Sports with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Proudly sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing and is powered by the injury attorneys Lerner and Roc. In a wreck and need a check? Make one call. That's all. 602-977-1900.
You're live.
And always online at lernerandrow.com. Now time for Calling All Sports with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910.
Hope you have a good Monday. Roc, Manuch, Jimmy B, Jax, Richie, got you covered today for another couple hours as we're out here at the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona for tonight's Bucks-Saints game, Monday Night Football. Next week it's Cardinals and Pats, but we got you covered. Jackpot, our progressive jackpot starts at just over $2,900 tonight. It's called the Monday Night Tailgate. We've been doing it for 22 years. Hosting Monday Night Football, and it's a big deal. We'd love to have you. Come on out and join us here. If you haven't been here, it's a great place. There's a sports book here now, which is new, and you can take advantage of that. We're getting closer and closer to give you a better idea on what's going on for the big game at both here, Casino, Arizona, and Talking Sticks. We'll have some more information to pass along, hopefully in the next week or two, because it's going to be a little bit different this year, as you're going to be able to buy tickets prior at TSR, something we've never done before. So it'll be a very minimal cost, but it'll include like a free buffet and the opportunity for bottle service from Jimmy B, that kind of stuff, So
in other words, you're going to get your money's worth.
Oh, big time.
Absolutely.
And that's, and I've been pushing them for years. I'm like, why don't we charge, $50, $100? You got your seat. You also got your food, you got a buffet, and use the big restaurant there at Talking Sticks. We're not going to charge here at Casino, Arizona, but Talking Sticks, which we get about 1,000 people, and there's a line at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. We don't open our doors till 1:30, 2 o'clock. But if you could buy a ticket in Ticketmaster beforehand, like they do in Vegas, where all the Super Bowl parties they charge, and know that you can buy tickets in advance. And you're getting something in return, some nice prizes. I mean, we're giving away so much money, so I'm anxious to do that, and it'll be fun. I'll be up there. Manuch will be down here.
Oh,
you're not good with the money thing.
Man, you kidding me, right? I'm
keep you down
dialed
here.
in with the money. You kidding me?
Keep you down here.
And if nobody hits the jackpot, we got to give all that money away, right, Roc? Give out all that money away at the very end. Keep those folks in.
But I think it's going to be even bigger because if they're going to charge, $100 props,
yes,
squares,
nice. Very nice,
and there's a good chance that we could have some big time celebrities actually hanging out with us.
So you're talking
about I'll be there anyway.
Yeah,
so
you're gonna be down here. This is your people. I'll be up there with the people. I'm the Scottsdale guy, Manuch. You're the Tempe guy. You grew up in Tempe. Wouldn't you rather be close to your you're McClintock people?
All your peeps.
All your peeps, because we don't go anywhere without meeting people from McClintock.
The yin doesn't work unless you get the yin with the yang.
Manuch, I've been doing fine without you. You weren't here in the beginning.
Right.
No.
I mean, it just works that way. Just works.
No, me and Barney, we got it covered.
That'll be dangerous.
I'm going to recruit some other guys.
Hey, like any team guy, wherever you want me to go, Roc, I'm good to go. Just put me in, coach. I'm good to go.
So the top stories today, we're still talking about the Suns and their big win over San Antonio, 133-95. Also the Sun Devils, a nice win over Stanford as they took care of business in Tempe, 68-64. They're now 8-1 and 2-0 in Pac-12 play. First time that has happened under Bobby Hurley. They'll travel to Dallas on Wednesday. They got SMU. Also, GCU will host Loyola Marymount on Wednesday. And the Wildcats, I don't know how they got off an entire week. They don't play until Saturday. So that's
that
good
happens
stuff.
from time to time with just the way the schedules are.
On the national level, by the way, Yotes are playing tonight in Calgary. But on the national level, Fred McGriff has been chosen for the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. The former big leaguer first baseman was elected to the ERA committee.
Yes.
And he received 16 out of the 16 possible votes, and he will be inducted into Cooperstown July of next year. Also on the ballot, controversially, I would say, and it's 3 guys, and that is Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens and Kurt Schilling. They were all passed over.
They were again.
That's BS.
You want me to give you a little tidbit about the crime dog, Fred
McGruff?
Fred McGriff, the crime dog.
It's going to be a long story?
No, it's over with right now. Was nicknamed
Crime Dog.
Look at, he was nicknamed the crime dog, yes.
For what reason, Jimmy?
I'll see if you get this. By a certain player who played for the Minnesota Twins, played outfield, was their power hitter, and then had an eye problem.
Kirby Puckett.
There you go, Manuch. You got it.
Kirby
Puckett gave him the nickname the crime dog.
For what reason?
I don't know.
Did Kirby ever explain and expound why he did?
He did not. No, I don't know. I just know that Kirby Puckett gave him that nickname.
I think of him. I think of the commercial with the crime dog there with the McGruff and
Nick Ruff.
Yeah, but what a phenomenal first baseman he was.
Player. He was a great
for so many years. I think of he marketed himself with a lot of the camps, with a lot of the baseball paraphernalia he put out there, the bounce back, the pitch back. He did a lot of stuff with kids in clinics. And he developed into phenomenal businesses. He invented a couple of things as well too. That tee that goes around. I think he invented that as we hit it, goes back around in reference to some of the things he developed for young kids, which is very unusual with a guy that's actually playing to do so much for young kids. Of course, he was making damn good money, but he wasn't making $25-30 million a year.
Well, no, but it was still great money for back at that time that he was playing.
And they'd have those things on Saturdays where he'd do the clinic, somewhat like what Tommy Lasorda would do.
Yes.
Tommy had him on a couple times. I forget the name of the show that Tommy had, but just teaching kids basic fundamentals. Fred McGriff was always the guy front and center.
Yep. The crime dog.
So Chris Berman takes credit for giving him the nickname Crime Dog.
No.
At least according to this report right here, MLB.com. McGriff, affectionately known as Crime Dog, a nickname given to him by ESPN broadcaster Chris Berman because of the similarity to the animated character McGruff, the original Crime Dog, received 100% of the vote. So you're saying that this MLB story is wrong?
I'm according to my sources. And
will you give us your sources?
And
I gave you MLB.com.
I know that. But if you look up Kirby Puckett, it says there that he gave McGriff.
So you saw that on Wikipedia?
I did.
Because anyybody can fill in Wikipedia.
Oh, I know they can.
Because Manuch has a Wikipedia page.
Yeah, and my stats are great.
Yeah, since he got Super Bowl already.
Yeah, my stats are great on Wikipedia.
It says I'm 6'5".
Yeah, see, you guys did this. Going back to, how can you take your son or daughter to Cooperstown and not see Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, and Kurt Schilling in the Hall of Fame, or Pete Rose? How can you not show them an era of baseball that was so popular, probably the most popular it had ever been?
Yes.
And we just kind of look the other way.
That's it.
You just have
just crap.
You have the little thing off the side of the wall. Those that cheated complex. Yeah, you have the cheated room over here, or allegedly cheated room over here. Yeah, over there, and you put those guys in a separate room. These guys will never make.
They do it.
Then
they do it. How can you not have a section, a wing that is dedicated to the home runs,
the steroid
McGuire, Sosa, and then all this that went on? That was such a big era with Malco and everything else. How can you just not create a wing and from A to Z what went on in that 10 years or whatever?
You could create a wing out there by the outhouse that's over there.
No, it should be front and center next to everything else.
No way.
How can you not?
Barry Bonds, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. And he was that when I covered him in Pittsburgh when he was playing for the Pirates before he left and then went to San Francisco.
Good. They can read about him in a book somewhere.
I can tell
Why can you not? You're going to tell me.
Yes, exactly.
Honestly,
no, hell no.
Have some common sense.
No, I got common sense.
Your common sense is your son is an aspiring baseball player.
Yes.
And you want to teach him the history of baseball.
Okay.
And you're going to go to Cooperstown and you're not going to you're going to just skip 10 years?
Absolutely. Let me show you the guys that did it the right way.
What happened from 1990 to 2000 or whatever?
We had a bunch of cheaters playing in the game at that point in time.
But it should be displayed.
I don't care. Here's the guys that did it right.
Ignorant.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
It's my opinion. These are the guys that did it the right way. that didn't cheat, that
That's
enhanced
fine.
their numbers.
I'm not arguing the cheating part.
So I don't
My
care.
whole point is you cannot tell the story of the history of baseball without telling that story.
I don't care to talk about those guys who cheated.
Why not?
away
Maybe it'd be a good
in the
learning experience
90s.
for your son.
My learning.
That, hey, this is what you don't do.
Here's the thing. I would say those guys, you can read about them in a book. Those guys are not going to join the hallowed grounds.
Who reads books, Manuch?
Well, there's a lot of guys who still read books.
No,
but I would say
son's not
if
reading
you want to see the guys,
men.
you want to go to the Cooperstown, see the guys that did it the right way. Here's all these guys.
But
if they ask
Cooperstown is the
Mecca.
It's the
Good.
Cooperstown is
I
the
get it.
baseball Hall of Fame.
I get it.
It tells the story of baseball.
They famously did a lot of cheating. I'll just tell them that from
That's
that
fine, then
standpoint.
they should
But I'm
say
not
that.
going to have them
So
anywhere.
why do you have like Kurt Schilling's bloody sock in the Hall of Fame?
Because they feel like Kurt Schilling probably was big in that one game.
Yeah, it was
Did they
huge.
ever prove he was he cheated?
Okay, but if you're going to talk
doesn't
about
make
the
sense.
history of baseball,
Okay.
you're just going to assume that he didn't pitch in that game?
Barry Bonds hit the history of 73rd home run.
I would say that I would.
That's
the only-
all history.
Okay,
My point is, if your kid if you want to show your kid the history of baseball, how do you not show him the good, the bad, and the ugly?
I can show him if you're talking about this wing over here is all the knuckleheads that cheated over here.
Fine, yes,
that's
coming
fine.
around, Manuch.
But I don't think.
Around.
But I don't think that the
2 minutes.
Cooperstown wants to taint that.
They're not
within
tainting.
that-
They're just going to illustrate the past, the
sorry.
history. It's
I'm
part of the
sorry.
game.
Your
The sport is at a better
It
place
is.
today,
Your-
probably because not all that happened.
Okay, your penance is you did the crime, serving the time by not being in the Hall of
It's the
Fame.
same thing.
Period.
It's the same thing with Pete Rose and gambling. Here is the all-time hits leader, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. Why? Because he was busted for gambling. So you put him in as a player, and then next to the plaque, it says, but he was banned from baseball for gambling on games as a manager.
It could be a learning experience.
You explain.
So you don't think Pete
the
Rose should
fact.
be in the
No,
Hall
I
of
think I
You
totally think
explain
Pete
the
Rose
fact.
should be in.
Oh, really?
Because
Wait,
I think
how
he-
does that? What's the difference?
because he didn't do anything to enhance himself in reference to all those base hits he had. I think
enhance. He could change. He could pull a
Game.
pitcher.
Okay,
He
you
could
get-
change the outcome of a game.
No, Pete Rose as the player, I would vote in. As the manager, I would not vote him in. So I would say,
Well,
okay,
if he gets in, he's in.
Yeah, exactly. But I look
Pete
at-
Rose is Pete Rose. He's a
Okay,
former
yeah.
player manager.
So Pete Rose, as a player, what he did for all those years, aside from what he did as a manager, tells the story of Pete Rose, the all-time hits
Which is
leader.
a part of history of baseball, right?
And his gambling out afterwards that he lied about, which finally came around.
But it's a history of baseball. Pete Rose. It's hard to tell.
His-
It's hard to tell your son about baseball without talking about Pete Rose, right?
Yeah, you can talk about it.
So how do you not talk about Barry Bonds, who has the most home runs in all baseball?
Because of all the cheating that Barry Bonds did time in and time
But
out.
you can
again.
tell it. You can still
All right.
tell it.
I'll tell it in a book. I'm not going to tell it at
Why
the
wouldn't you tell it?
Cooperstown. No way. There's no way. Cheaters. There's so many guys that try to do it the right way.
Why
Do you
Big
think
Papi?
everybody in the Hall of Fame was clean?
Yeah, come on. Why is Big Papi in the Hall
Big
of Fame?
Papi.
Well, that's a contradiction. I'll give you that.
What do you mean you give me that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
probably a
why.
few.
I don't know why they voted him in. He should be outside looking in as well too, because all these guys that did all this cheating should be on the outside looking in.
Gaylord Perry?
Gaylord
Did he
Perry.
cheat? Did he cheat?
Oh, absolutely cheated
Is he in the Hall of
with
Fame?
the spitball.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
Okay.
he is.
All right, so
315 wins.
there are a lot of people that cheated,
I get
and
it.
they're in there.
And so why they're in there, I don't know. So do you go
So
back
you
in?
don't show your kid those, right?
Oh,
You don't show
You're
like,
not
well,
gonna
Gaylord
show
Perry, he didn't
Gaylord
play because
Perry?
he cheated.
there's a lot of contradiction with the Cooperstown, and
Exactly, but my point is the contradiction is okay. You can have it.
Yes.
This argument that we're having right now is just about having a wing to just illustrate and display what went down in baseball.
They're not good
At
enough.
the heyday when you and I doing radio was probably the best. And you as a Cardinal fan
Sure.
love baseball
Oh,
more
loved
than
it.
anything.
You love
For a
McGuire.
guy who
Sure.
cheated,
Yes.
who's McGuire.
Yeah.
Yes.
And once I
Great.
found out the guy was a cheater, he was like, "You
Oh.
are all those home runs."
Oh,
absolutely.
geez.
It's my
Oh.
opinion, folks.
He hit 48 home runs his rookie season as an Oakland A.
So why do you start
There was
cheating?
not a part because he had severe injuries constantly throughout his career, and he took androstenedione Dion, which he had in his locker.
Sure, yeah.
And at that time, androstenedione was not a banned substance. They banned it afterwards. The next year, after he went off Androstine, he hit 65 home runs, Manuch.
He's still cheated,
one
Jimmy.
contradiction after the next.
Well, then that's it. For me,
you can't tell the history of baseball without the
there's no contradiction for me. They're outside looking in. They're not going to be in there.
Just saying a wing, Manuch. Hey, the conference championship weekend gave teams a chance to not only win a trophy, but make a lasting impression ahead of the final college football rankings of the season. We're going to highlight them, plus turn our attention to some great bowl games. Get into some college football talk. Craig Cooley in 15 minutes. Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Fox Sports 910 live from the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona.
You hard frog. We'll take it. You're welcome, Rock.
What do you think of me? What do I care?
You're welcome. You can say thank you for us beating TCU.
What do I care?
And because your Ohio State Buckeyes
still coming to Fiesta Bowl.
That's all right, but your Ohio State Buckeyes got back in. They're on the outside looking in. Speaking of outside
but
looking
USC
in,
lost on Friday, so Ohio State was already coming. It's already at 4.
I don't know about that.
Ohio State was already at 4 after USC lost.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Well, then
totally.
Did you think
that game had nothing to do with?
Did you thank the Utah people yet?
What do I thank them? They're going to a great Rose Bowl.
Yeah, but they beat
Penn State.
They beat USC, so your Buckeyes got in. Whether it's Wildcats,
I'm thanking them. I'm thanking Utah, but I'm not thanking Kansas State.
Well,
I would never think that.
We reassured that Ohio State was going to be coming in by beating the TCU.
You did not. You had nothing to do with it at all. Seriously, Manuch, that win had nothing to do with the college football playoff. I'm being honest. Tell me why you think it is.
Because
I'm not. This isn't radio shtick. Tell me why you think it's a big deal after Utah beat. Yeah,
USC.
Destroyed USC the Friday night.
I think
then I knew Ohio State was back in the mix.
We put the exclamation point bang just to double. If there was anybody thinking Tennessee
Nobody needed an exclamation
anybody
point.
like that.
I mean, people had already booked their flights after that Friday night. They knew Ohio State was going to go.
Go Wildcats. Hell of a job.
Yeah. I mean,
we'll take it.
Yeah.
We'll get a nice bowl game. Sugar Bowl.
You got a really good bowl
Taking
game.
Alabama.
You're going to get killed by Alabama.
Well, at least we're there. We're there.
See, that's BS.
We're there.
Yeah, how can you say that?
I'm going to downplay it.
We're just glad
we're happy to be there. I'm going to downplay it. We just everybody, nobody gives us any credit. We just kind of show up. Well, that's K-State. Bama's going to kick there, but okay. All right, we'll just be happy. We want to carry your bags into Bama. You're going to have any of your star players playing. We're got all hands on deck, but we're happy to be there.
It didn't matter. I mean, if that goal line stand didn't happen, okay, and TCU would have still won, it still would not have changed. It still would have been TCU Michigan here in the Fiesta Bowl. Well, it had nothing to do with it.
Okay, good.
Now, if Friday didn't happen, then there was something there.
Like I said, we just kind of reiterated it. We just kind of took it upon our own selves.
I think there's a lot of people that still want to make a case that TCU shouldn't even be the 4. Some are saying that they should be number 4. Maybe Alabama should jump them because SEC versus Big 12.
Well, they were 3, we were 10, and they beat 10. And you look at Alabama; they're 2 losses. They don't even go to
They were very close. They were very, very minimal, similar to what you just saw with TCU and Kansas State.
And they didn't go to the SEC championship game. TCU went to the Big 12 championship game. So
I think there are a lot of people would love to have seen Michigan, Alabama in the Fiesta Bowl, or Michigan, Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl, not Michigan and TCU.
Well, I still TCU is a you
don't feel TCU as a power
you don't
you just don't.
But I think they deserved it more than Alabama.
Absolutely,
and they totally deserved it.
Yeah,
more than
I'm
Alabama.
not arguing that. I'm just saying I think a lot of fans would like to have seen someone else other than TCU.
And I know a lot of fans would rather see somebody else besides Alabama in the final as well.
People hate Alabama and people hate Ohio State.
That is correct.
And a lot of people hate Michigan.
And I was glad to see Ohio State get in there. I think that's going to be that Georgia-Ohio State game is going to be a hell of a game.
I don't know, man.
I think
Georgia's
watching Georgia.
I think Georgia and what we saw in that secondary for Ohio State against Michigan, and I just think they're kind of beat up. I think Georgia's going to beat them.
And then Michigan and TCU coming here. That's going to be. I think it's going to be a better game.
I think Michigan is going to destroy them.
They may, but again, it just depends what Sonny Dykes can come up with his offense at TCU. They're kind of a slow starting offense. Again, they came back against Kansas State. You get that big run by Duggan, and then that 2-point conversion. Guys are wide open. Sonny's going to have to control the ball against this Michigan defense. It's a hell of a defense. I think they're a better team, but if he's got a chance at winning this game, he's got to come out all firing on all cylinders. And his defense, which is a decent defense, is going to have to get some turnovers. They're going to have to make some plays.
So the 6 bowls, the New Year's Bowl, December 30th, the Orange Bowl will have Tennessee Clemson. I really like that matchup.
Yep.
That'll be played in Florida. The Sugar is Alabama, Kansas State in New Orleans. Monday the 2nd, you'll have this one I don't get. I just the Cotton Bowl, Southern Cal and Tulane.
Tulane won the AAC.
I know, the AAC.
Speaking of a game that doesn't have much
no juice
to it.
I mean, that AT&T Stadium will be empty.
It probably
it's
will
be. It's unfortunate for the bowl people in Cotton Bowl. They do a great job. You hate seeing that. I love Utah and Penn State.
I love
We'll
that
see
game.
which Penn State team we get.
Yeah.
That's the thing you just don't know. What else I like in some other bowl games? I really like the Vegas Bowl with Oregon State and Florida. I think that's a good game.
Yep.
I also highlighted the Guaranteed Rate Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll tell you, years past, the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, it's always been Minnesota, Iowa State. This is probably, on paper, in my opinion, the best matchup we've ever had. I really do. Wisconsin, Oklahoma State.
Yep.
Because Oklahoma State was undefeated for a long time. Mm-hmm. Wisconsin started off slow, then they fire their coach, things turning. Okay, now they got a new coach.
3 minutes.
We'll see what happens. The Guaranteed Rate Bowl, which will be played at Chase Field on the 27th. I think that's big. I really like the Cheez-It Bowl with Oklahoma and Florida State.
That'll be fun.
Alamo Bowl, Texas, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
The Gator Bowl, Notre Dame, South Carolina, which South Carolina has been able to do the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
That's really good. But I think the best bowl game of all of them, hands down, it's got to be the Barstool Bowl in Tucson with Ohio University and Wyoming.
How did I know
I'm going to that, guys. So I'm off on the 30th. I am going to fly. I'm going to drive down there, and I'll be back the next day for the Fiesta. But, my alma mater. But I will say this. I'm going to go on record. They're going to get beat because the starting quarterback is out for Ohio. So, he was out.
He was lighted up this year, too.
Yeah, Roc, he's been there a long time, but that's why they lost in the MAC championship.
I think I just saw, too, that Oklahoma State's QB went to the portal.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like I did all my bets. I did all my bets yesterday. And then I said, man, I should pull. I bet every game, right? And I'm like, I feel like I should cancel them all.
Yes.
And then wait for the portal because with all these players not playing, it just sucks.
Yeah.
What's his name? He's played for UCLA. They got drafted by the Cardinals. He didn't play in the inside
Josh
ball.
Rosen.
Josh Rosen
against K-State.
I mean, that just sucks. It's a treat to go to a bowl game. Even like schools like South Alabama and Western Kentucky playing in a New Orleans Bowl. How great is for those two schools to get to go to New Orleans or even like a Wake Forest, Missouri, get to go to Tampa.
Yep.
Or I could go on and on. My bias. I love the bowl games for the reason the student athlete gets an opportunity. Toledo Liberty. I mean, how about Liberty? New in D1.
Yeah.
They get to go to a bowl game in Boca Raton. It's great. Now, so what if there's 30,000 people there? But I can tell you right now, if there's a game on, we're all watching it, right?
It.
Absolutely. And for us living here, we're betting it too.
Oh, yeah.
So
college football.
Anyway, fiestabowl.org if you're looking for tickets for the Fiesta Bowl or the Guarantee Rate Bowl. As I can tell you, it's weird. I've had so many people reach out to me.
I bet
more than ever.
Yeah.
But they're all Michigan people.
Sure.
I'm not a Michigan fan. I haven't been responding to too many.
Therapy for him, Jimmy.
It's a good therapy.
Anything Michigan for your Ohio bias, Ohio and Ohio State bias is good for you to deal with these Michiganders. I mean, just deal with them all the time.
No, it's not. Why would I want to, let me see if I can get you some really good seats, Mr. Michigan fan. No. You're going to go to SeatGeek and get your own, and you're going to get charged the fees. Because you go through me, you don't have to get the fees.
That's it, yeah.
I'm not, and it's funny because I posted something on Facebook the other day where I took, hey, everybody, if you want tickets, you could go through me, use my code, and not have the fees and get access to some good seats. A lot of people took advantage of it.
Okay.
Good. But a lot of people didn't. They're the ones that are calling me. Like, hey, I need 20 seats on the 50-yard line. Can you get them for me, right?
Sure, let me snap that right up here.
Whatever. Anyway, Craig Philly, ABC 15 next.
ABC 15 Sports Director Craig Fooey. Fooey joins the guys each Monday to break down the top stories of the weekend. And as a reminder, Manuch writes the questions. Now here's ABC 15's Craig Fooey.
All right, let's get to it. We do it every Monday. We've been doing it for 15-plus years. It's called Fact or Fooey with ABC 15 Sports Director, the coach, Craig Fooey. How we doing, Fooey?
What's up, Coach?
What's up, Cub? How you doing, man?
He listens, man.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Oh, thank you. We do have one guy that listens.
Yeah, at least a couple.
Hey, the first question we have here has to do with the CFP, the CFP committee. Did they get it right by selecting Ohio State over Alabama as the Final Four team in the playoff?
Fact or Fooey?
I, as a fact, I think they got it right. I mean, where are you going to go? I mean, TCU had one overtime loss in the Big 12 championship game Saturday. What are you going to do? Where are you going to move them? Who are you going to move in their place? Alabama still has 2 losses on their record, albeit to Tennessee and to LSU, but a total of 4 points, but they still had 2 losses. So I think you've got to go with Ohio State. I just don't see them dipping down into those 2-loss teams.
Coach, would it have been different if my Cats were like a 15th or 20th ranked, since they were 10th ranked going into that game? I mean, would it have been any different for them to look at them and go, well, they beat a 20th ranked team versus a 10th ranked team?
No, I don't think K-State had a chance to get into the Final Four, if that's what you're asking.
No. I'm just meaning by keeping TCU, but they lost.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
If K-State was a lower ranked.
Yeah. And although they say they didn't want that, they don't look at matchups. I don't think, they wanted an Ohio State-Michigan matchup in the semifinals, although they say they didn't look at that. I know some people would have loved to have seen, Ohio State-Michigan in a repeat. People would have said, what's going to happen now in neutral field? But I don't know that they wanted that rematch in the semifinals. But I think they got it right. I think we got good 4 teams.
All right, Coach, question number 2. The Fiesta Bowl and Guaranteed Rate Bowl have hit home runs with bringing Michigan, TCU, and Wisconsin, Oklahoma State in for the games. Fact or Fooey?
Bang, fact. 2 great games, right? 2 great games. I mean, Wisconsin, Oklahoma State in that Guaranteed Rate Bowl, that Chase Field, that's a great matchup. I got to say, too, Ohio down in the Barstool Arizona Bowl down in Tucson.
Dude, you want to go down there? I mean, you guys got to cover that, right? I mean, that's got to be a lead story.
That's a lead story. Sure.
I mean, there's a lot of Ohio U people here. Some prominent people. Derek Hall's an OU guy. I mean, there's a lot of people here that are all going down. I mean, I think there's like so many. I don't think Driver Provider has any more buses left.
That's awesome. I was looking at it yesterday. I was like, man, that would be a fun game to go down to, right? Ohio and Wyoming take on.
Yeah.
Get after it. Yeah.
that'll be nap time watching that bad boy.
I'm all in. Are you kidding me?
There you go.
The Cowboys and the Bobcats.
Yep. Sounds fun to me.
I'm
going to switch gears on you here, Coach. In order to, and remember, Manuch writes these questions.
Absolutely.
Are we talking about play calling again?
No. This is in honor of Jimmy. This is in honor of Jimmy B. This question.
All right, here we go.
All
right, here we go. In order to fight against East Coast bias of voting, Devin Booker must average at least 35 to 35 points a game the rest of the year in order to be the MVP. Fact or Fooey?
Average, huh?
32 to 35 points per. It's a lot of points, Coach.
It's a lot of. He had what? How many games over 40 now recently? He had 51 in 3 quarters the other night.
Yep.
I think he's got it. I think he has to show up and really lead that thing. I do. I think right now, where's he at? He's averaging 29.1. So he's got to pick it up by 3 points a game, huh? I think so. I don't know if it's East Coast bias or it's just a matter of you've got big name guys. Luka is phenomenal. Giannis is phenomenal. Curry still playing at a high level.
Yep.
You've got to stay healthy and you've got to score, but it's tough competition to win an MVP in this league.
It is, and I'll follow that up with what Anthony Davis now is doing for the Lakers as well, Coach.
MVP.
Yes, they're chanting that right now. He went for a double nickel the other night.
Yeah, but will Anthony Davis stay healthy though?
That's the key.
Jimmy B.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. Anthony Davis hasn't stayed healthy for a season for a long, long time.
No.
But it's stiff competition to be an MVP. Devin Booker is certainly MVP for our club year in and year out. And if he can jump up those averages, I think that's fair. But he's got to be on a winning team, and he's got to have success himself.
He's ABC 15's Craig Fouey, Roc, Manuch, and Jimmy B. All right, question 4. Cards have a shot to win at least 3 of their last 5 games, those teams being New England, Denver, and Atlanta. This would be the 3. Factor Fouey.
Oh, 3 of the last 5.
New England, Denver, and Atlanta. Hopefully.
Yeah, I got you. The Patriots 6-6, lost to the Bills last week.
Right.
The Broncos 3-9. That's certainly a win. The Buccaneers, yeah, I mean, I think they do have a shot. The Falcons aren't world beaters. They lost to the Steelers the other day, yesterday, 19-16. The 49ers lost Jimmy Garoppolo playing with,
Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy, baby. So I think they've got a shot at winning those, but they got to turn it around. They got to start doing the little things. They almost had it against the Chargers a week ago. Players got a week off. They're recharged, rested. I think they got a shot at 3. Fact.
All right. Last question, Coach. New Colorado coach Neon Deion Sanders, or Coach Prime, is the best thing that could have happened to the Pac-12 since it's fading as a Power 5 conference. Fact or Fooey?
Deion Sanders, the best thing that could have happened to the Pac-12 because it's a fading conference.
That's right.
Fact. Listen, Colin and I talked about it last night. What's the bigger splash, Kenny Dillingham or Deion Sanders at Colorado?
Yeah, really.
Hands down, Deion, right? Mm-hmm. Prime. Coach Prime, we just stole the show. I mean, this is a huge deal for the Buffs and a huge get for the Pac-12. And I was just watching when you guys called. I was just watching his speech to the team.
Yes.
Which he puts everything up on video,
sure does.
on YouTube, and so it was interesting to watch that. And he's ready. I mean, he's going to go back to Jackson State, coach that bowl game, and then hit Colorado running. He'll hit the ground running. He is. Loves the institution. He said. Loves the fact there's low crime in Boulder. I think he said no crime, which would be an awesome city. But yeah, I think that's a big splash, and I think it far outweighs the Kenny Dillingham hire at ASU.
Oh, I agree with that 100%, Coach. But I wanted to follow up with what the AD said when they asked him, how did you get the money to pay him? And the AD came out and said, well, we don't have it yet, but we'll get it. I've never seen an AD be that transparent, have you?
Talk about betting on the coach.
Yeah, really.
Wow.
Right. But I think that's what you have to do, right? You've got to step up. And we've talked how long about ASU not willing to pay these guys, right? I remember Lisa Love back in the day telling me when they hired Todd Graham, the tail will never wag the dog at ASU.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, then you're settling for mediocrity. You're going to get, the best coach you can get for the budget that you have. I get it. But you're not going to get into that, as Ray Anderson says, the top 3 in the Pac-12 perennially and in the top 15 in the nation. It's not going to happen at ASU. It's not going to happen.
Well,
so you've got to think bigger and jump higher to get this stuff done.
And the landscape is even Ray Anderson has now bought into the NIL and with the collective that was out there for $1 million. And look, and we had Sean Aguano on last week. You talked to all these coaches. If you don't have the cachet, and Coach, we talked about this last week, you don't have a shot. You have no shot. I mean, hey. All the great facilities aside, how much is it worth? How can I do this? How can I do that? So they understand.
Great facilities. Who has great facilities here in Arizona?
Well, if they had the great facilities that they
I tend to disagree there, guys. I think Arizona State, they've improved their facilities. I mean, they got the new weight room, the bubble. I mean, the Frank Kush Field they renovated that.
Right.
I mean, I don't think they get the credit there, don't you?
Have you been to the stadium? Have you been to the stadium for a game?
Yeah. Well,
it's still hotter than Blue Blazes in August and September.
Yes.
People don't want to go sit out and sweat their butt off.
I agree.
Right? I go to games late in September, and it's just hotter than Hades. And it's like, who wants to sit out and watch a game and just sweat for 3 or 4 hours?
But it's been like that since Frank Kush was on the sideline, right?
Well, you can't
change the weather. You can't affect the weather.
Sure you can.
3 minutes.
Roof over the top of the thing. Come on.
So you're thinking a dome, huh?
A dome.
Yeah. They don't have the alum,
the wherewithal to raise that kind of money. Yeah, the alum on top of it. Well, they're going to have to now, Coach. They're going to have to go out and be a little more aggressive with their alum and whomever if they're going to get those top-notch players, that being Kenny Dillingham,
They're not going to do it.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it.
I
It
think
doesn't
it's
exist.
mediocrity
I
is
think
fine.
Listen, Michael Crow wants to be the Stanford of the Southwest, right? He wants to be an intellectual institution, and they're never going to let athletics get bigger than academics at ASU, and they're not going to spend that kind of money to get those guys. And so, but the reality of the NIL is most guys aren't getting anything, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Just a few.
Most guys aren't getting a thing. I mean, some guys are getting that group deal where we'll pay your tuition for a year, we'll give you $25,000 for this milk product or whatever, right? But most guys aren't getting the big dollars. That's just a small handful of guys, and that's the problem with the NIL.
Philly, what do you got going on tonight?
Everything you're talking about.
Yep. Not the man. So
Yeah,
your lead will be
always on it.
I'm sure your lead will be with
Ohio.
No, it'll be Yotes, Calgary, Flames, right?
Yeah.
And then it'll go Suns. Yeah, it'll go.
Almost.
Cardinals back from vacation.
Yeah, no one in
Probably,
trouble.
Probably. Well, we don't get anything with the Cardinals till tomorrow, so we have had no contact with them since last week with the Cliff. So
it's been a quiet off week,
long dry week.
We were talking Fooey as we opened the show today. We're like, it's they won the week because it was quiet.
Yeah,
no
arrest.
Red Monday,
no
Big
arrest.
Red Monday.
Hey, other than the Patrick Peterson Kyler feud online, there was nothing, right?
Yeah, that's probably a good thing. Probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Fooey, thanks for improving the program. Appreciate it.
All right, Cubs. See you.
See you, buddy. Yep, that'll stick. I don't even know why I opened my mouth there, but yep. Hey, our Valley Chevy random facts of the day are coming up as the Bear is heading to Fox, if you haven't heard that. Plus, we'll dive into some more of the college football talk. A good argument there on the bowls and which ones are good. And I want to get more into the Deion Sanders. I think prime time is cool. And, I think it was Jody this morning. He was talking about it, the fact that, if you're the AD and you had a choice, do you go with Dillingham, Dilly, or do you go prime time to turn a program around? Because just the optics right now is you're going to peek in all the time to Deion and how Deion addressed his kids. And we have some sound we'll probably play for you too. So we'll get into that as we're out here at the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona for tonight's Bucks Saints game. It's Fox Sports 910.
random facts of the day driven by your Valley Chevy dealers. Find new roads at your Chevy dealer. For a dealer near you, head to valleychevy.com.
It's that time, I should say, for our Valley Chevy random facts of the day. And this one may affect some of you. You may remember, may take you back a little bit. But, all the sweaters that Fred Rogers wore in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood were knitted by his mom.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Had no idea.
That's why it's called the random fact of the day.
Wow.
Interesting, yeah.
Here's another random fact. They asked Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, throw out the first pitch in Pittsburgh with the Pirates game. I'm there. He throws it. He's standing on the mound, and he throws it right down into the ground. I mean, it didn't go 5 feet.
Oh.
It came out of his hand and went right down into the ground.
Social media would have had a
Oh, man.
Hey, we were talking about the coaches.
Yeah.
There's two big-name coaches out there that are up for the job at UNLV. Mm-hmm. Chris Peterson from Boise State, who's been a coordinator
and
this
Washington.
and years of doing TV and all that
at Washington.
in Washington. But Ed Orgeron, the LSU head coach.
Sure.
I kind of look at ASU as a MAC school getting a Dillingham. I mean, nothing against the guy. I mean,
I get you. I understand.
This isn't personal. This is nothing to do. I hope he kicks ass and he's going to be here for a long time.
Yeah.
But for a school that needs a splash so bad, you kind of made one with Herm. I think you did. Back then you did.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Everybody's like, all right, everybody knew Herm and, all the success he had and, as a broadcaster, a player, and even at Kansas City.
Correct.
And then Orgeron, you hear about what he did at USC, and then, I think he got a bad deal at LSU. But Chris Peterson, a guy that had so much success at Washington and Boise State.
He did.
It was on TV. These kids know who he is.
Yep.
The more and more, you kind of, I think the Deion Sanders one really hit.
It's called checkbook.
Do you? Yeah, I was just going to say that, Jimmy. Do you think that they got nothing against
That's
Kenny?
why I think it's kind of a Mid-America Conference kind of.
Yeah, and they might have got him on the cheap because I think the agents for a Peterson and a Matt Rule and whoever else out there, they're going to want like $5 million plus or minus as the market for their experience.
That's what Deion got.
And with Kenny Dillingham, coming in, if I get 3.5 to 5 with bonuses,
find the money.
If they get it, so. Yeah, you could say maybe they got Kenny on the cheap. Here's our guy. You could sell it any way you want. But I'm like, I'm like, okay, if ASU's ever going to get this thing turned around, why not go with the guy that's been there, done that, that's gone to Rose Bowls and won championships? Now, Kenny's done that as an offensive coordinator. I get that. He understands the model. But I think for a lot of fans are like, okay, but that was the first thing I thought, Jimmy, when they hired him was, well, those other guys out there, ASU couldn't afford him.
No, that's correct.
Because of the track record you look at.
Yeah.
Now, Herm got paid decent. He wasn't going to leave ESPN. He wasn't making $3.5 to $4 million with ESPN. But, yeah, they need a bit of a splash. They need a guy that's front and center, a guy that's got all kinds of energy. And Kenny does.
He has that.
But, yeah, I'm like,
but
I wonder.
Nobody knows who he is, Manuch.
Well, he's been known as an OC with Norvell, with down at Auburn.
No, I mean your average ASU
exactly.
fan.
Yeah.
They have no clue who he is.
Average America.
Yes.
Now, the college kids know who Kenny Dillingham is.
Yes.
They all know with his prowess as an offensive coordinator.
I disagree. I totally disagree. You think every college kid knows the OC at every school?
Oregon? Yeah.
If you're at Florida State, you're at Auburn, and you're at Oregon, those are pretty prominent schools, right? And he was here helping out too.
But it's the head coach that's the face of the organization.
Yeah, I get
the
that.
OC or DC.
But the next guy in line is, okay, that offense, I like that offense. I think
that's how we think. But we can't think the way like a young kid like Jax thinks.
Right.
I don't think he could tell me when he was playing in Montana who the coordinators were everywhere.
I can tell you this, at least
right. Jax is saying no, Manuch. Well, listen to him. We listen to the kid who's telling us that. He's right here.
I know he's right here.
You're saying, well, no, this isn't the case.
No. What I'm talking, the kids that I work out, and a lot of college kids, they know who all the OC guys are. The guys that are prominent OCs they know what's going on at Oregon. They know Florida State. They know Auburn.
These are the high school kids you're
going. Yes, they do. The
high school kid knows who the OC is.
Absolutely,
at Texas,
ASU, at Texas, here and there. If they're getting recruited, they know what's going on. You'd be surprised how much these guys. Oh yeah, he was. When he was at Auburn, how did they do?
All right, you would know, I guess. But
I'm telling you,
if I had all your kids come in right now, I bet I could drill them. And I mean, maybe 2 out of 10 would tell me who the OC is.
They would know where Kenny Dillingham was at, and they would know. They'd follow him.
Well, they wouldn't know. He just got hired. Everybody knows.
No.
We're talking about before the guy gets hired at a job.
They knew exactly where Kenny Dillingham was at. They know what Mike Norvell's doing at Florida State.
You tell me where Mike Stoops is right now.
Mike Stoops
who's up for the UNLV job?
Is he at? He's at.
Exactly.
Bama?
He's at Kentucky as a linebacker coach.
Okay.
So, or another guy that's up for the UNLV job.
I may
Kevin
not know.
Sumlin.
I may not know, but
who's with the Houston Gamblers.
But here's the thing: a guy that's got an offense, a splashy offense like Oregon and Florida State that before, and they follow that. So if these guys are coming out of top 20 conferences, top 20 teams, they're very aware who's running those offenses. Now, yeah, they know who the head coach is here and the head coach is there. They know all that stuff. They're very much
head
dialed
coaches.
In with that.
Yes, I don't know. I respectfully disagree.
Right.
I bet 20%, maybe 25% of your
You'd
kids
be surprised.
can tell me who the OC is at Florida State now.
You'd be surprised how these guys follow, and they follow those offenses. And if they don't know who that OC is,
kid who's a sophomore, or junior at Highland or Brophy or wherever.
These kids are those kids that are D1 potential. Even those that aren't even D1 potential, they follow college football big time. So they know what's going on and who's who and what's what and all that type of stuff. I ask them questions about stuff here and there, and they'll fire it off. Yeah, coach, that guy's over there and that guy. And they know the transfer portal. They know the recruits that are out there. They know what's happening, who's moving. Yeah, why did so-and-so go to the transfer portal? Oh, because they want to go do this and go do that because the other guy's starting, and they brought a couple other recruits in, but he's not going to get that job back. I'm like, okay. So they're following all that stuff in reference to that. So they're very aware.
I think it's amazing that Dion comes in, goes into Colorado, and he says, hey, he brought his luggage, he brought his Louis and all that. And then basically said, here's our quarterback.
Sure.
It's his kid.
That's his kid.
And here's his running back. Here's his top,
Yep.
And you're sitting there and you're saying that in front of the former quarterback and the backup who thought he was going to get the job this year. That just sucks. I didn't like that. I didn't like the way that he brought that down to his kids.
But
his soon-to-be kid.
You got to remember.
I know he's straight shooter. I get it. That's his style.
It is.
But I have a feeling that there are a lot of guys went right in that portal.
Well, he told him.
Out of Colorado.
He told him.
You don't want to be there, get the hell out.
Yeah, he said, if you don't, he's the way he said, you and I think, if you don't want to be here, don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
That's it.
He said that at the portal. Because I want you to be smart. I want you to work hard. And the whole thing is basically, this is who we're going to be. If you don't like it, that's okay. If Colorado's not the place for you, then go hit the portal or go transfer.
Well, Colorado was probably the place for that student athlete until Dion got there.
Well, I can tell you this. If you would have got there were several quarterbacks I'm very aware of that went in the portal that would have loved to transfer to Colorado.
Hey, random facts of the day are brought to you every day by the Valley Chevy Dealers. Your Valley Chevy Dealers serving the Valley for over 80 years. ValleyChevy.com. Check it out for yourself. Hey, coming up on Thursday, we'll be live from the Twin Peaks in Glendale. Yes, Glendale. But coming up hour number 2, Rudy Carpenter and Frank Sanders.
30.
All still coming up as we are coming to you live from the CAZ Sports Bar.
Hour number 3.
What did I say?
2.
I said we're finishing up hour number 2, right?
No.
Yeah, I thought you said you were finishing up hour 2 going into hour number 3. I swear to God, I heard that.
What did I say? Did I say 3?
You said hour number 2. All right.
Hey,
I'm just going to say it's hour number 3, and I'm going home.
We're here for you.
Calling all sports with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Proudly sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing and is powered by the injury attorneys Lerner and Roc. In Iraq and need a check? Make one call, that's all. 602-977-1900. And always online at lernerandrow.com. Now time for Calling All Sports with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. on Fox Sports 910.
Rudy Carpenter and Frank Sanders coming up this hour. Welcome in. It's hour number 3. Yes,
hey,
hour number 3.
You got it right.
3:02 to be exact. Roc, Manuch, Jimmy B, Jax. We got Richie back at the iHeartRadio studios. We're out here at the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona for tonight's Bucks Saints game. Should be a good one as we are giving away a lot of cash. $2,900 is what we have in the progressive jackpot that we add $25 to after every kickoff. Unless, of course, there's a run back, and then you're going to get that money. So that thing just grows, and grows. And typically we'll get it to about $4 or $5 grand before the season's over, and then we carry it over to the big game at both Talking Stick Resort and Casino, Arizona. Suns are back in the win column as they took a big win, I should say, as they destroyed the Spurs, bad basketball team right now yesterday, 133-95. ASU rolled yesterday over Stanford, 68-64. I wouldn't say rolled, but they got by the Cardinals. 6th straight win for them. They're now 2-0 in the Pac-12. Cardinals, of course, off this past week, so we didn't get to talk about them today, but we'll have all week to discuss their next Monday night game against the Pats. And then the Yotes are in Calgary to face the Flames. But some big news in baseball. As some big-time signings. This is the first time since 2019 that the winter meetings are in person. So you got some people wheeling and dealing, and the Philadelphia Phillies were the big one. As shortstop Trey Turner, 11-year, $300 million deal.
That's incredible.
And it includes a full no-trade clause, no deferred money. So he ties him to the Phillies until 2033. He's now the 10th $300 million-plus contract in baseball history. And this just in, I got my season ticket renewal for the Diamondbacks, and it went up. You combine the 2-year, $86.66 million contract given to Justin Verlander by the Mets earlier today. Man, baseball winter meetings are getting off to a good start.
I thought there wasn't any money in baseball. What happened to
$1 billion of free agents?
The owners.
I mean, you still got Dansby Swanson out there, Aaron Judge. I mean, you got some big names.
Big names still.
Well, Turner moving on to Philly, then Aaron Judge, maybe the next outfielder could be first baseman for the LA Dodgers.
Clayton Kershaw signed 1 year, $20 million with the Dodgers, so he's back for another season.
Verlander's what? 40?
I love the fact that he's staying there.
Yeah, I do. Too. I do too.
But Verlander with the 2-year deal, well, he's got his couple rings with Houston. Moving on, maybe he can help them. But you look at that, 40-some million ducats, $42 million a year. Verlander. I mean, obviously nobody is worth that, but he's one of those guys that's well worth the money to go after another Cy Young award in New York because Cohen's going to spend the money. Cohen has vowed to get this Mets team to another World Series.
It's just when you look at, a shortstop, again, another shortstop,
right,
getting $300 million, and the Yankees offered Cashman and the Yankees. Cashman resigned there for the Yankees, but Yankees, offered Judge $213.5 million over 7 years in the spring. That would have made him the second highest outfielder in the majors behind Mike Trout. That deal didn't go on. Then you see all the rumors of him being out in San Francisco. It could be an opportunity. I would love it.
Giants,
Aaron Judge for the Giants, and we can see him in spring training. Get to see him a bunch of times against the Diamondbacks. And Anthony Rizzo, just 2 weeks ago, signs a 2-year worth $40 million after turning down a $16 million player option. So there's so much money, and it's unfortunate that the D-backs aren't a team that has money to be in the conversation.
In the mix. Yeah.
They send these has-been guys that are basically scraps that they're getting for cheap to fill some holes.
And I know they got their eyes on the one shortstop they're probably not going to get because if you think
Bogarts.
Bogarts. Nick Ahmed's got probably one of the bigger contracts that they have, what they do with him or not. But what does it say about the Dodgers keeping Turner and allowing Seager to basically get away last year to go to the Texas Rangers?
Yeah.
So you think about that. He got away, and you thought Seager was going to be the guy for many, many years. Here comes Turner in the trade because Turner was at second. Seager was at shortstop.
Yes.
Seager said, I'm going to move on because the Dodgers didn't step up. They knew all along Turner was going to be their guy at shortstop. and they paid him the big bucks, and now Philly drops out.
Yeah.
And then he leaves.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, I think unless the Diamondbacks want to start trading some of their young talent, I think we'd all agree, at least we are being told and what we read and what we hear that, hey, this farm system's fairly strong. There's some baby backs that are going to grow up and be longtime Diamondbacks, you know, with Corbin Carroll and Jake McCarthy, Alex Thomas, you know, the guys, Alex Thomas, and, you know, Dalton Varshaw that they got in the trade. You know, there's some guys that could really make a difference for this team. It's just, I think as fans, you get impatient because you want to see these guys have success now, and you want to see this team be competitive in a division that, you know, aside from the Rockies, you can't compete.
No. Matter of fact, it's almost like, okay, Diamondback, see Suns fans for over the last 10 years before they finally made some moves, got some guys who were there fighting at the playoffs, and they got to the finals. And you're right, Rock, we would like to see this team at least in the hunt year in and year out. Now, we could have said if it wasn't for the woes of the bullpen, they might have been in the hunt for maybe one of the wild card spots. Mm-hmm. So do you tweak that rotation? Do you tweak the bullpen and go with what the majority of what you had this year?
They need to somehow. Derek needs to say, all right, is there any way we can make a move and go into the AL Central? Let's just be, you know, let's be with the White Sox, the Guardians, the Tigers, the Royals, and the Twins.
Can you please?
Then you would have an opportunity to compete. Because you other than that, I mean, there's nothing else you can compete. I mean, or you make a deal where I want to be in the West, but the Astros have been dominating the West. See, here's the deal: the West the Astros shouldn't be in the West in the first of all, right?
Right. Yeah,
but the Angels, Athletics, Mariners, and Rangers, you know, all right, the two-backs can maybe play with them. You know, that's when it comes to the American League.
Why are you not
National League? There's nowhere else you could go because even if you go in the Central with the National League, well, maybe you got Cardinals, Cubs, but Reds, Brewers, Pirates aren't any good. Nope. Yeah, either Central. They need either. Now I look at it. National League American, make a deal there.
So petition Major League Baseball to change to the
Can't go to the East,
and the Central.
Let's just go to one of the weakest divisions we can so they can be competitive. They can be in the hunt.
The only time that the Diamondbacks are first in the division, okay, is when the standings are 0 because Arizona is A. You know, so it goes Arizona, then it goes Colorado is C. So you know, and then it could go on to LA and San Diego and San Francisco.
But yeah, I think from the Suns fans were so much passion, just wondering what the hell was going on for 10 years. But I think the Diamondback fans are like, okay, you'd love to see competitive. You'd love to see them in the hunt, at least making a wild card year in and out. But make some moves so you can almost assure you're going to be in the hunt.
So get ready. This could be a very busy weekend of week, I should say, of college athletes saying, hey, I'm not going to play in the bowl game.
Yep.
I'm not going to play in the bowl game.
That's a shame.
And just like the transfer portal last week and now the bowl game, I don't understand the bowl games. I do not understand why NCAA has ever allowed it. Now, if you're injured, I guess you have the right to get ready for the draft.
Yes.
Yeah, but does 3 weeks make a difference getting ready for the draft?
No, but the point is,
you're practicing. You're not going to get hurt. You don't know that.
Well, I know you don't know that, but that is their salvo that they throw out there is I don't want to risk injury and ruin my NFL opportunities.
But Jimmy, you could get injury training.
I know that, Manuch. I remember Jake Butt. He was a great tight end at Michigan. He got hurt in the bowl game, and it ruined his NFL career. Now he's out of the league when he blew his knee.
Okay, but I think what Rock's getting at, it's just that final for a lot of juniors that are coming out early. They pretty much know they are, and you're in a I'm going to say a prominent bowl game.
Yep.
To help that program.
Like there's a couple of Ohio State guys aren't going to play.
Exactly right.
Correct.
You know, Georgia guys. I mean, come on.
And I'm like, finish it off. All of a sudden you stop. You go do your training. You go do this. You go do that. You can get hurt training, pull muscles, do whatever.
I agree with you 100%.
We all agree. It's just unfortunate
it's just the way it is.
It is, yeah.
And I think Christian McCaffrey was the first big name that opted.
I think you're right about that. Yeah,
that opted out in his senior year.
Glad you were able to squeeze that in.
Yeah,
you can't go a week without talking about McCaffrey.
Good job, Jimmy.
Thank you, brothers.
Yeah, we even brought that up the other day on our rewind with Jax.
Yes, we did.
You were even here, and we played the tape that you were talking about McCaffrey.
We got McCaffrey, got East Coast bias both in today. Just for you, Jimmy.
Damn straight.
But yeah, that's I'm just not a fan of that. By the way, Baker Mayfield was released by the Panthers. There's about 9 teams that want him right now, and I'm like,
good.
Really?
They can take him. Let him have him. Maybe they can resurrect his career. I don't know. He has fallen off as far as mechanics, his reads. Maybe there's an offense out there that can adhere. I don't think San Francisco's it quite at all. They picked up Josh Johnson.
They did
to back up Brock Purdy for now, because I think that at least Brock knows that system inside and out. He'll be their guy. Josh Johnson can come in there and manage the game. With Baker Mayfield, if they pick him up, you got to be careful that he doesn't run you into bad situations. Now, he can be streaky. He may be a streaky three-point shooter, but then he can go over as well, too, as a three-point shooter.
I agree with you on that, but I always go back to the his third year when they went to the playoffs?
Yeah.
And they won at Pittsburgh, and he played great. And then they lost at Kansas City in a wild shootout, and Mahomes found a way to beat him in the last, 30 seconds of the game.
Well, and then
he played great there, too.
He did. And as a matter of fact, you can say that, okay, sometimes you're only as good as those around you.
I agree with that.
So 100%. He had a bunch of dudes around him in Cleveland.
Yes,
he really hadn't had the last few years in Cleveland.
Correct.
Didn't have that at Carolina whatsoever.
And he got hurt.
So, hey, you can always talk about the old Jim Plunkett story, right?
Yep.
He lit it up with the New England Patriots years ago, got beat up, got traded to San Francisco, got beat up there. Finally, Al Davis said, look, we want him.
Yeah.
Experience.
Yep.
We got tools around him, whereas an experienced veteran quarterback, he can make some things happen. Well, 2 Super Bowls later. Now, can Jimmy do that? If he's in the right scenario with a lot of good players, I think he can.
Well, he's already been to 1 Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo has.
He almost won it.
Not Jimmy. I'm talking Baker Mayfield. I'm sorry. I'm talking about Baker.
Okay.
I'm thinking of Baker. If he can get in the right situation
I agree
with
with
people around him.
I don't know.
But there's still some things I see out of him. I'm going, you shouldn't be doing that 5-6 years in the league.
I think he's just going to be a glorified backup in the league for a while.
And
he's got the name, Heisman Trophy winner. He's going to be around a while.
And he's
not going to take you to a Super Bowl.
No, he's got that enough experience. If he's got to spot fill or back up.
And there are a lot of guys that could be in the league for 10, 12, 15 years doing that.
And Colt McCoy's a prime example of that right now with the Cardinals.
Yep. He's kind of like Joe Flacco. He'll be around for a long time.
Yeah,
Joe Flacco got to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did. And won one.
Yeah. So, maybe Baker's that guy that's going to be around, and that's fine. Speaking of quarterbacks, we're going to catch up with
Rudy Carpenter.
Get his thoughts on Brock Purdy, the local kid, the Manuch coach, who threw for 210 yards, 2 touchdowns on a pick yesterday as San Francisco lost Jimmy G to that broken left foot. They lost Trey Lance earlier with that leg injury. The latest on Lamar Jackson is going to be day to day.
Yes.
So we'll find out what happens with him. Who else has been hurt? Mahomes was limping quite a bit yesterday, too.
He was.
He's probably going to be day to day.
Let me just say, Joe Burrow is making a case for himself at Cincinnati. And I know nobody is really talking that much about him.
It did last year when he went to the Super Bowl.
Yes, they did. And you watch that dude play. And
Joe Cool.
And he is cool. And he has not lost to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
3-0.
Yep.
3-0 versus Patrick Mahomes.
Rudy Carpenter, we'll get his thoughts on some of the quarterback play yesterday. He's next. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B right here from Casino, Arizona. It's Fox Sports 910.
performances. But I thought the 49ers Miami Dolphins game was, a great game. Obviously, you have all the storylines with Mike Shanahan and Mike McDaniel and just all the weird players and coaches on the staff that have played together and, spent so much time together. That's obviously an interesting, situation. You got Tua who's having a great year. Got the Dolphins in the situation, the pot, the playoffs. Who knows? We shall see. And obviously, for Arizona people, I thought Brock Purdy getting in there and getting a chance to play, and I thought, considering the circumstances, play really, really well was obviously, good to see. And I'm sure for you, Manuch.
I just assume we are Radio Road this year, right?
Yeah, let me ask you, what will it take? Yeah, I still think I've been here 30 years, and I don't think of Arizona as a hotbed for football players. I just don't. And getting the Brock Purdy's of the world and guys that you coach as well in the National Football League, Fitzpatrick, a guy who played with Chandler, Gilbert, Gilbert Wright. There's been a couple. What will it take for folks outside of this state to say, man, hey, all the good quarterbacks come out of Arizona, or all the good XYZ guys come out of Arizona?
Well, it'll get. I to be fair, in my view, I think Arizona's got so much better over the last couple of years, becoming a hotbed, and I think I can list off a bunch of players right now that are currently in the NFL or players in the NFL over the last few years who are from Arizona. Obviously, you have Christian Kirk playing great. You have Mark Andrews playing great. You got Kyle Allen, who's done well when he's gotten a chance to play. Ricky Incognito for so many years was great.
Oh, yeah.
So I put money in there, 700, got the sheets.
A ton of great players, and that doesn't even, obviously include guys like Nikhil Harry. And I could really go on and on. Chase Lucas. These guys, there are a lot of guys, and obviously it's getting, better and better and better as time goes on. But for Arizona to be seen in the same way California is, or Texas is, or Florida is, or probably Georgia is now, they still have a little ways to go, and they're going to have to, when they play the high school games and they play the out-of-state games, Arizona's going to have to win a lot more of those games than they lose. When they, it's one of the things that sucks, but for us, when those great players here in Arizona go play in the SEC and they dominate and they play great and they're in the first-round picks, their chances to win Heisman trophies really, really great for Arizona. And you wish they'd all go to ASU or some people here U of A. But for me, I think Arizona is, really probably one of the top 6 or 7 high school or places in the country for high school football.
What do you think that Shanahan will do? It looked like the offense, as far as missing a beat, I didn't see much of that with Brock. But how do you think he might curtail that back a little bit, or what will he do to try to keep that offense moving forward? Will you see more boots, more waggles, more play action to protect Brock? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think that's always a sucky question. Sorry for my vocabulary. The reason why I say that is because coaches always do this. Every single time they get to a backup quarterback, they want to do one of two things. They want to dumb down the playbook and try to make it easier, which usually makes it way more predictable, which makes it way harder.
I get 4 people that want me to do a podcast. I have no interest. It's a waste of time. Nobody watches it. No, like Michael Potter. Michael Potter. 45 minutes.
The Miami Dolphins had one defense.
And what I did with he's been asking me for 4 months. Like mine, 15, 20 minutes.
Yes.
And the reason is because every organization understands that the most ill-prepared player on every team is the backup quarterback.
I hate being mean, but I'm just sorry. Podcasts don't do it. They don't, unless you're freaking Adam Carolla or somebody like that.
I don't listen to any podcast.
You get 100 people maybe, max.
They understand we're going to give them new looks and try to mess around with an important to have bad eyes and panic and make bad throws.
And it's not like I get anything out of it. It's about what my background is. I don't need to go to my LinkedIn.
Having the same game plans and the same operation that Brock has had all year long since he's been there, to me, is the best way to go about it. If you really believe in the next man up mentality, then it has to be next man up, not next man up, and then they're going to change the offense to make it fit in better. It's just, and to me, when you do all those changes at the quarterback, what you're telling me is like you don't have any confidence in me. At the end of the day, this is what it is. The other thing is I like Brock, and I hope he plays well, and I really do mean that. Manuch, for you too. But come on, the odds of that happening are like almost zero. Not because of Brock's fault, because of the way the NFL is structured. It's like
you know who wants to be on is
put that guy in a
Jason from State 48. He's got some menace thing. I'm like, I don't know.
Don't just go.
He's got 5 people listen to that.
Like you're going to give him a
Down into that.
I don't
sweet pick. You're going to bring in Josh Johnson. He's been in the NFL forever.
Yeah, I don't want to be mean. It's just
The only way
I'm not. My time is. I just don't have time to do podcasts.
Unless they give me early in the morning.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's what guy said. They just told him I said 8 o'clock Thursday, but I have to be somewhere at 8:30 just to get it over with.
At the end of the day,
I understand it. Like for him, he's trying to get in this field. Podcast is the way to go to learn.
Everybody wants to pretend and wish like,
but when it's just to talk about me, I'm not like somebody's calling me to ask about my take on sporting, which I don't do that. I said you do all the radio interviews. I don't. I turn that shit off. I don't like that. I don't care.
I got 2 calls. Yeah, David Bruce wants me on tomorrow.
Good.
And this sounds like birthday wants to talk to me.
Perfect. That makes sense.
That makes perfect
sense. I mean, that's where.
And I'll do that all day.
Oh yeah, it's your kid.
Yeah.
It becomes very dangerous.
Like the guest Rod, he has like
something that I don't think people spend enough time on. When you got guys who are 6 foot,
he markets the hell out of it too.
Yeah, that's just probably all it does now.
He coaches a little bit.
That's dangerous. You better have a plan.
He was a high school coach for a few years. He said,
and someone who hasn't been part of the organization is not going to know how to do that.
He said the parents are
the life.
Oh, they are.
Right?
Everybody's going to be a D1. No, they're not.
Keeping your poise and composure is a Brock Purdy strength. Leadership is a Brock Purdy strength. Winning, being a winner is a Brock Purdy strength. Let him use all that high school and college experience that he's gotten up until this point to go in there and run the offense. Don't try to, take an easy way out and go sign a guy like Baker.
So the Red Sox are going
to a little bit more than Brock. That's all that it is.
They are more somebody.
Well, they can afford it.
Can you imagine that short porch? Rudy, I
second emotion on all that. Moving on, looking at Joe Burrow. Speaking of a guy that got the experience, and, it looks like the Cincinnati Bengals team as a whole in their passing game, even with they're looking at Chase being back in the fold from that standpoint as well too. Watching him week in, week out, they made a big deal out of him being 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes. But I watched him play yesterday. Some of the throws, some of the accuracy, some of the confidence. Are they back on track to what we saw toward the end of last year before they went to the Super Bowl? Looks like it. I mean, one thing that we know for sure is that
I don't know this year from a
Yeah. Oh, that was the game. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the schedule.
I don't know.
Defeats. I emailed it.
Hands of victory.
Well, you sent me.
And maybe
Last,
not
I said, like Aaron, I think I forwarded everybody what the schedule was
the way that it goes.
from Aaron. I'll find it again.
That'll be
No, this is all I got from you. It was Thursday.
Moves forward, but the answer to the question on are they back? Football is such a difficult sport to try to predict. You might think somebody's back. You might think their offense is back coming. They might look like they're having a lot of success.
Dude, you got that schedule for Christmas, right?
We went through it last week.
Yeah,
because
I put it
to me, that's just the NFL. So the way that it looks right now, they look good. The way that Joe Burrow is playing
Trying to figure how many more
and
weeks the rookie
caliber.
needs off.
So yeah, they could be back.
They're having a 1-year probation.
Rudy Carpenter, Roc and
We
Manuch.
have no show on the
Jimmy B here
23rd.
on Sports.
We have no show on the 26th.
Do you like the matchup
So that's
for
Monday,
the
Friday,
CFP?
or Monday or Friday, Monday?
Yeah, that's fine.
And then we're back on track.
I mean, this is just one of those years where I kind of.
But let me know.
I will.
Georgia Michigan game.
Yeah.
How about Dion
We can have
in
Jax and
Colorado?
Ben do a show on the 30th. It's our New Year. That's our Christmas gift. They can do the Friday show.
I think it's an interesting.
We're the right Toyota. Or no, we'll probably put you in studio.
I'm going to say it's tough. Yeah.
It's not Ben there yet?
No.
Dion is probably going to move the needle more than anybody else because
Anthony Richardson, Gator QB, declaring for the draft. He won't be playing.
And I think
Isn't Florida coming here?
No.
He is.
Home State.
Home State.
Yeah.
Wisconsin.
No, I thought Florida was. They're in the Vegas Bowl.
Today with the transfer portal. I mean, whether it's true or not, tend to believe it's not true, but whether it's true or not,
You have no room to ever talk.
I always bust on him. I take 2 a day, whether it's or not.
Room to talk.
And I think there's a lot of NIL money out there at a few schools if those schools want you. I think every other school is more like Colorado and ASU. Colorado still doesn't even know where the money's going to come from to pay for Dion. And ASU just got their first $1 million.
You've been bringing on
good for them. But,
any GCU guys for Wednesday? GCU and Mike.
I've been alternating. Now that AU's done with football, I'll bring GCU guys on. Now Paul Coro. What's his name's always busy now. Your
Potter?
Yeah.
Good. Tell him I'm going on the Stand podcast.
Where we're going
Paul's always available.
No, he's an outside sales guy. He can always come on the phone.
Paul's always available. He's doing the color a lot.
Yeah, Paul's good.
It's great. Players being paid is great. The transfer portal is awesome, in my view. But with a lot of good things, there always comes negative things. And some of the negative things are, look, we've now created an environment.
So Dion just got Willie Taggart.
State, Michigan, Alabama,
Great pickup.
Georgia,
Jesus.
Great pickup. Hey, he's going to pay his guys. I'm telling you. These coaches are going to get paid.
You got former FAU Director of Player Personnel David Kelly.
Rudy, as always, man, thanks for making time for us on Mondays. We always appreciate it.
All right, Tyson.
Well, he
That's
told
Rudy
that
Carpenter
Andy,
joining us, as he does
here's the deal.
every Monday. We appreciate you always.
Better
follow
get some
on
white
Twitter
guys.
at Rudy Carpenter.
Well, Colorado's
Follow
white.
Rudy.
Yeah.
Great follow on Twitter. Boulder's pretty driven by All City Towing. All City Towing continues.
He don't
to grow.
care.
They are
You want me to
hiring.
win? Here's what we're
Looking for
gonna
a change. Getting ready for maybe some New Year's resolutions. One of them is a new job. Well, how about checking out
30
All
minutes.
City Towing?
Why? So, what can we
immediate
talk about?
full-time
What
positions
can we
available, great
talk
benefits,
about
including a 401k
for
program,
30
generous
minutes?
company match.
This is
the
a
vast
meeting for
minimum
you?
why is
No, this is the fucking podcast.
Oh.
career. We can always call the HR department 480-833-7278. That's all City Towing. Arizona's largest towing.
Pissed off. I don't want to do it.
Allcitytowing.com.
But he's a good
All right,
guy.
coming up, the Cardinals are out of the playoffs.
You got to be in the radio or help us.
5 games. Former Cards receiver
910.
Frank Sanders joins us now on the Right Toyota guest line as we're coming to you live from the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. How you doing, Frankie? What's going on? Frankie, look at that.
Yeah. All is well, brother, in my world today. I lost $33 to Roy Green and to Truck Robinson. I'm okay with that.
Truck Robinson. God, I called Truck Robinson's games when he was playing for them, the New Orleans Jazz.
So you're saying an old guy beat up on Frank on the golf course today? Oh, he just threw under the bus.
When do you let these old guys stand up and manage you on the course?
He must be 95 now. What is he?
Nah, well, Chuck, here's the funny thing about both these guys. You guys will love it. They always play from the tips. Roy and Truck. Truck's 71 years old.
Yeah.
Roy's 63 years old. And they play the tips. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Truck keeps saying, all Truck says is, Frank, Roy trying to beat me. He tried to beat me so bad. He'll make an old man play for the tips. I said, he's going to take a good whooping today then.
Doesn't that piss you off when you're out there playing and the guys ahead of you are playing the tips when they really shouldn't be playing the tips? I mean, that's just annoying. It just slows down the round.
I mean, to say this to you, brother. The way Roy plays, and you can check this. He's going to get mad at me when I say this, but Roy Green, you listening, let me tell you this here. You play so slow, it is molasses on pancakes, on a triple layer. It is absolutely pathetic. However, it plays well. I had to say after that.
Yeah, it's so funny because it's Frank. I play in a league on Saturdays, and we got a couple slow players, and right out of the gate, we tell the cart guys, the outside service guys, make sure so and so's not driving, because if they're a slow player and they're the driver, it's so bad, man. It's so bad.
And that's an oxymoron for Roy the Jet Green, right, Frank? I mean, is the Jet slow like that?
Absolutely. All Chuck says is, hey, this guy used to be fast. Look at him. He used to be fast. Look at this man. Yeah,
look at his mother.
It is, but fun to play with. Guys are, got a ton of credit in the valley for what they were able to do in the professional sports. Actually, they brought me in through Kwame Lasseter, former brothers out here no more, but they brought me in and let me start playing with them. So I get a chance to play now. Watch this and let me name drop a little bit. I get a chance to play with Marcus Allen, Eric Dickinson, Charles Barkley.
Okay.
Yeah, they do well too.
Really? I mean, you're name dropping? I mean, do that on your podcast. Don't do that on this show. Come on, name dropper.
I apologize.
So,
a little jack.
So let me ask you, Frank, since I'm good, I'm going to go down this road.
Really?
So since you're the youngest of all those that you mentioned, are you the one that's got to go look for the ball in the desert? Do you have to buy at the end, buy drinks? I mean, do they call you little Frankie? I mean, how does that all work? Yo, Frankie, little Frankie.
Well, everyone in the group has probably had glaucoma surgery. So, yes, I'm looking for that.
That is classic. That is great. Hey, so, Frank, we were talking earlier today that, the Cardinals, it's a big red Monday or whatever they call it, right? I mean, and they won because it was a quiet week. Other than Patrick Peterson, we talked about that with you last week. It's been a very quiet week, and that's probably a good thing, right, for this Cardinal team as they get ready for the Pats?
Yeah, it's a good thing, man. They need to get away. It's been a long season. They've had to answer a lot of questions for things that they couldn't really answer. Why is the offense sputtering? Why is it not consistent? What's wrong with the offensive line? And then you had a bunch of injuries between, Hollywood Brown, D-Hop's out for 6 games. James Conner, JC gets hurt a little bit. Kyler gets hurt. And then just the performance of Cliff, and then Hard Knock shows up. And so everything is being exposed. That week could be a great week for these guys to kind of get away, come back and refresh and kind of get their mindset to try to finish the season. I was thinking about this earlier, and I said to myself, man, I'm in the locker room right now. I got 5 games to play. Mm-hmm. What am I thinking about? I'm thinking personally, can I still reach my goals? Mm-hmm. Can I still reach 110 catches? Can I still reach 1,000, 1,500 yards or 12 touchdowns? I'm trying to reach my goals, and then
3 minutes
pushing myself to continually reach my goals. At that moment, there's something that should transition between all the other guys So I got to let them know, man, we got to finish strong. Next year, you is my teammate. This is not a one-and-done contract, guys. These guys will be your teammates. So you got to watch the guys that will quit and the guys that will fight for the next 5 games. And these guys got to kind of get the mentality that we're a team. If we don't, how will we finish this year will truly determine what we look like next year. And I want to believe that the guys that are fighting and fighting to finish strong will be my teammates for next year.
And Frank, it's not out of the realm that you can't beat New England, Denver, Atlanta, or even Tampa. I mean, the 2 games home, the games on the road, the way the National Football League is, you don't know who's going to win on any particular Sunday. So they've got to still feel, I would think, that they're very winnable games, especially the Patriots next Monday night, because they're stumbling all over themselves right now.
It is crazy, right? The NFL, the way it looks just across the board, there's a couple of teams that look dominant, but everyone else looks pretty average. And if you don't look average, you look pathetic. And I think right now the Cardinals are between average and pathetic. And but here's the crazy thing: we got the players to go out and make plays if these guys can come out and just get some rhythm, figure out what it feels like to play together again as a whole unit. You got James Conner back, you got Hollywood Brown, you got AJ, you got your boy D Hop, AJ Green still there. You got guys now that they should be able to come out and make plays, and you got the whole staff that's there. So in my mind right now, Manuch, it's interesting that these guys where they are right now, because still if they believe in their heart, they can run the table, and they run the table like we did in 1998. Something special could come out, because you just don't know what's going to happen across the board with a bunch of these other teams that's out there.
Frank, thanks as always, buddy, and I'm sorry you lost some money today. So there's always tomorrow, right? You play 4 days a week, so you'll get it back tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll
1 minute
Wednesday at the Cardinals charity event we're having in Whirlwind. But here's another thing: I'm at the bar and they're buying. How about that?
I mean, Truck, he had a hell of a career. Career. And so did Willie Green, and so did you. You can hold your own with these guys. Who are you kidding? Come on. Thank you, Frank. Appreciate it, buddy. Bye, Frankie. Frankie.
I look forward to it, brother.
See you, bud.
Love you guys.
All right, Frank. Frank Sanders, 81 on Twitter, and he's part of the GoPHNX.com family.
People forget how good Truck Robinson was.
He's a hell of a player. Who forgot?
Great player.
Who forgets?
Terrific player.
No one forgot.
I just think people, as you say, Truck Robinson, they go,
I say, man, he was a hell of a player.
He was a hell of a player.
I actually got to play with him one time with Frank. And he is really nice. He's so big. He's a big dude. He is a big dude. These guys play all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're speaking of basketball, a lot of guys that play basketball or retired guys are now playing pickleball.
Yep.
And the 2022 Legacy Championships presented by Talking Stick Resort is going to be at Bell Lake Park on the 16th through the 18th. Now, this is an amateur event for all ages, starting from 8 years old all the way up, and the purse is $25,000. $25,000. If you need some information on how you can register, head to legacysportsusa.com/sports, and you'll see the Talking Stick Resort logo and the Legacy Championship. $25,000 to play pickleball.
That's good.
That's pretty good. That's really good.
You win that, you're considered a professional, and carry that boy on.
I would be.
I'm a pro
all over Facebook. So I never come on. Hey, this is Rock, aka Pro Pickleball player here on Fox Sports Site 10. Hey, I'll tell you what's on tap. Brought to you by 72 Sold Next. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B.
Arizona's best law firm.
You already taken care of because I'm bringing my luggage with me.
My Louis.
And it's Louis. Okay. It ain't gonna be no more of the mess that these wonderful fans, the student body, and some of your parents have put up with for probably 2 decades now. I'm coming. And when I get here, it's gonna be changed. So I want y'all to get ready.
Your life.
Go ahead and jump in that portal and do whatever you're gonna get. Because the more you jump in, the more room you make.
Get the popcorn
Get
ready.
there. The more you jump in,
the more room we make.
Wow.
Don't let that door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Man, you are
that
not kidding.
That was a subtle way of saying it.
Here's what's on tap, brought to you by 72 Soul. Of course, we are out here at the CAZ Sports Bar for tonight's Monday night football game on ESPN. They'll get started at 6:15. It's the Saints and Tampa, Suns and Mavericks on NBA TV and Bally Sports Arizona. That gets going at 6:30. Coyotes at the Flames, 7 o'clock on Bally Sports Arizona Extra. And if you're into the Manning cast, the guests tonight are Robin Roberts, Randy Moss, and Dana White. So that is tonight for sports on the Tube. And for Manuch, The Voice, I think that's 8 o'clock. Top 8 perform in the semis.
I'll be here working tonight, Rob.
The Great Christmas Light Fight, that's on ABC 15.
Manuch will be into that.
TMZ's Mary Eflin Christmas, that's coming on too.
Yeah.
So a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Hey, our State 48 Roofing, it's your call. Question of the day. A double shot, as you say, Rock. Did the college football committee make the right choice of choosing Ohio State over Alabama? Your answers could be either yes, Ohio State, or no, should be Alabama. Just go to @Roc and Manuch. Running away with it, 83.3%. Yes, Ohio State.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think anybody questioned it.
Yeah.
No, you got 2 losses.
Yeah.
They're not putting a 2-loss team in.
Second one, State 40 Roofing. It's your call. Question of the day. You are the AD. Who would you prefer to have hired? It Kenny Dillingham or Deion Sanders? Runaway, 83.3%. Deion Sanders.
And by the way, they just it looks as though longtime head coach Willie Taggart has also joined Colorado in an undetermined capacity. Could be on the field, off the field, but he has been hired as well to join that staff in Boulder.
I'm just telling you, he's going to shake up the Pac-12. He really
That's
is.
his game plan.
I know.
And he will go get those, he'll get the 5-star,
Yes.
the 4, the 3. Whether there's money there or not, he'll go find the money
He will.
for
He'll find
NIL,
it. Yes.
for whatever it is that they're going to need.
Yep.
And if it's, I also feel that he'll probably get into a point where he'll have the whole team getting paid.
Yeah.
Whether it's 10,000, 15, 20, whatever that is, that
Whatever it
extra
is.
stipend is.
Similar to what Texas Tech
Because
did.
I'm sure I can just see Prime going in there and going, all right, here's the hit list. I'm not coming unless all these are managed. You may have the money, go find the money. And that's the AD said.
That's what he said.
So that list, I'm sure, was long in order to get them.
yeah.
He's not just going to come in and hang out.
No.
I just surprised it's that job.
Well, I think,
What are you surprised about?
think about it.
I did see a guy that's spent a lot of time on the East Coast, Florida,
3 minutes.
just jumping at Colorado.
Maybe this is the
they offered him
biggest,
$5 million.
the biggest available
I don't think
job.
money's an issue anywhere. I think he would have got paid no matter where he went.
But he's in a big pond, Rock, the Pac-12. He's
Yes.
going to the Pac-12.
Well, is
He-
it? I mean,
or-
you lose UCLA and
But-
USC.
Or maybe he knows that
That's not for another year.
they could also go to the Big 12 as well, too. So I'm sure he's going, whether I stay in the Pac-12 or I go to the Big 12, I'm going to be in a big pond.
Yeah.
Versus you, what was the other school in Florida that was looking at?
Is it
South
South Florida?
South Florida. It's a bigger pond right here. And you know his ego is all
Oh,
about
I
this.
agree with that. Yeah. It looks as though it's, according to the Las Vegas Review Journal, it looks as though pretty close that Ed Orgeron could get the UNLV job. He's up against Chris Peterson.
He deserves a second chance.
I didn't think he wanted to coach anymore. I think, how much longer does he want to coach? Because he made his buyout was sick
It was.
at LSU.
It was.
I mean, why? Just go do TV
You
or go write a
get
book.
It,
I mean,
you can't get it out of your system.
Guys, he's a
Look
football
at you.
coach.
You get
You've
bored.
been doing this for 22 years, Rock. You're still here. We try to kick you off the show.
He's a
I
football.
know. 2 minutes.
He's a football coach, and for Chris Peterson, that's not his deal. He's bigger than that.
I'm
He's
with
bigger
you on
than
that.
UNLV.
Yes.
So for Orgeron, this is perfect to get back into the.
what do you mean bigger than for Chris Peterson? You go from LSU to UNLV. I would think Boise State and Washington.
He was
going
out.
to UNLV's not bad.
Yeah, he quit Washington on his own merit. He didn't.
I know, but
he didn't get kicked out. So if Chris Peterson is going to get back into it, he can go on to bigger programs than UNLV.
you think Chris Peterson is a bigger time coach, big time than Ed Orgeron, who was at USC interim,
and
then he was at LSU?
Under the circumstances that Ed Orgeron left on, he needs to come back quietly, get that straightened out.
He ain't gonna be quiet.
Well, he's not, but I mean, hey, they basically kicked him out the door with all the penance he's had to serve, collecting $30 million
correct
payout. But I think Peterson's one of those guys that I love to see an ASU gone after Chris Peterson. They may have.
Oh, I think that would have been a perfect. I think this city would have really embraced Chris Peterson. And I think they're going to embrace Dillingham too, but not to the level of Chris Peterson because of his history. Hey, What's on Tap is powered every day here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B by America's leading home selling program at 72 Sold. Everyone knows the home sales market is getting tougher. Number of sales are down, the prices are down, but interest rates are starting to go down again. And 72 Sold is still getting top dollar for their customers. You're making a mistake if you go the traditional route. Go to 72sold.com and get your price a higher price at 72sold.com. Rock, tomorrow?
Tomorrow, Rock, it'll be Kyle Vandenbosch. We're looking to try to track down one Brock Purdy. Hopefully, we can get him on the show.
He ain't coming on.
He's gotten a little busy the last couple of days.
He's a starter in the NFL.
And Bobby Mack talking about those Cardinals.
Suns Mavericks tonight as well. I'll be watching that along with the NFL game.
You going to do that here, Jimmy?
Maybe.
10.
Oh, you're going to hang out?
Well, I didn't say. I said maybe.
All right, Jack's got somebody can pass out the squares.
I said maybe.
Jimmy B.
Yeah, maybe.